Hello and welcome everyone. You are joining me, Tom Colohue, and of course, not that way, my associate Ed Fries, channel regular NXT expert and host of Love Wrestling's NXT. I'm saying the word expert, get used to it, as we warm up to War Games, which looks like it's starting, guess what, with War Games. We're going straight into it. That's the beauty of being British. I can always use the highlight of the William Regal twang and just go, War Games! Just be really guttural in there. As most of you will... Go ahead.
I've missed him in the build to this show, by the way. William Regal in the build to this. He didn't say it.
It's not War Games without him saying it.
I know.
It's just not the same. A quick hello to everyone in the chat. Hello Astrid. Hello Sean. I need to switch to the multi-stream tab. Because... this will be our first NXT show multi-stream, using a new multi-stream system that we're working on at the moment, which means YouTube, which means Twitch, and which just means available on more platforms for more people, for as many people as there can finally be. We are opening the show with Tommaso Ciampa holding the championship, but we closed the pre-show highlighting the women's War Games match. Now, usually in WWE, the last hype package is our main event. What do you think is going to main event the show tonight, Ed?
Men's War Games.
You're going with the men's?
No doubt in my mind.
Just because it seems like a changing of the guard?
A changing of the guard, a possible person's final match in NXT. It seems that you would go off with potentially Johnny in the ring, sitting with Tommaso as 2.0 stands at the ramp, arms held high.
That would make sense to me. I can definitely see 2.0 taking the win here. It screams next generation ready to go. Absolutely screams it. In fact, this whole show screams next generation ready to go. There isn't really a match that doesn't feature old guard, new guard.
It's true.
That's how it feels to me, at least. There's talk about retiring the NXT Championship. Do you see Joe Gacy winning it tonight?
The Cruiserweight Championship, yes. I do see Joe Gacy taking the Cruiserweight Championship. It'll be fun. He's expressed interest in removing the weight limits, he brought out, so they had a segment on NXT this week where he brought out 3 individuals. He brought out a smaller statured individual who may have been 5'5", 110 pounds soaking wet. He brought out a lovely young lady, and he brought out a massive gentleman. And he said that this is the examples of what you're going to see in the new Cruiserweight division.
Right.
And so I'm like, wait a minute. Intergender championship in WWE? This could be interesting.
Well, it's certainly slightly different than what we're used to. I've had a couple of additional answers as regards the main event. Firstly, hello Wolf Gamer, glad you could join us. Astrid says, I finally get to join you both. Welcome, Astrid. I know you're also going to be hosting on Love Wrestling very shortly. I've seen you guys on some quite a number of podcasts recently. Look at you guys, soaring high. Megan says, hello both. I'm sure it was stated during a promo thing for the DraftKings partnership that the men's War Games is the main event. Thank you for clearing that up for me, Megan. Sean is here saying EO said she would love to come up to Raw or SmackDown and he would present new opportunities for her. That day is undoubtedly coming because, let's be honest, it kind of has to. J-Dub says the men's War Games is old guard versus new. Yes, it is. Welcome, Corey. Wolfgamer says it wouldn't make much sense for the NXT 2.0 guys losing, so I have them winning as well. And Jay Quick is just putting a lot of S's on War Games. You know I like to fly through.
I was going to say, Jay Quick joined me for my quick stream this morning when I got to play a little bit of season chapter 3 of Fortnite this morning. So it was a nice little chat between me and Jay Quick there.
I did forget to plug, and you never seem to plug that you're branching out into streaming of your own, aren't you, Ed? Tell me more.
I mean, venturing out into streaming, kind of just doing it. You know, I have my work with Love Wrestling that I enjoy. I enjoy, you know, being here and helping you out with things like this and anything else that comes up between me and you. You know, as you mentioned, me and Astrid had a lovely opportunity from Mike Fish of Waffle Slam to go ahead and join him for a debate style show. So we went ahead and joined him last minute for that. So that was a bunch of fun.
It's good to know you're branching out, man. I mean, you got the chops, so to speak. You might as well give it a go.
It's been an experience, I'll put it that way.
Yeah, you're never quite prepared for it, are you?
No.
Megan said, with this being Beth's last show, do you think NXT will just be a two-man booth moving forwards? Personally, I don't. I think they will add another, basically a replacement woman to it to really highlight the diversity that comes with NXT. The women's division is a key factor in that, and I do think we'll see another woman on commentary. I just don't necessarily know who that will be. Ed, your take?
I'm gonna go with no. I think I'm gonna go with a two-man booth for a little bit. I don't see anybody ready to jump right in and take the spot. I know NXT is a lot different than WWE, so it won't be as Renee Young had it with, Vince in her ear. She has a lot more calm voices there, whether it be Michael Cole or Road Dogg or Triple H or Shawn Michaels. Obviously not Triple H currently, but in the future he might be back. But I don't know exactly who they would bring in right away to fill that gap.
It's a fair shout. NXT, though, is the proving ground and for the development, so I can definitely see them putting someone new on there and giving it a go. We'll just have to see how it plays out. I do personally prefer a two-person booth. Yeah. Always have.
And Wade and Vic have a fantastic chemistry, as shown in the in the video that they put up for the 1 minute thing to thank Beth for her time in the booth, where Wade tells her he's not going to ever forgive her for leaving him with Vic.
I always like little things like that. Sean is saying, who do we think starts for the women's team? I'm going to go with Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez personally. I think they may play it down a little bit, but I think they're going to want to start with heat, because that first section where it's just two people tends to drag if there's not enough heat behind it. That's just my take. Ed, what do you think?
That sounds good. I would go with potentially Kaylee Ray, and because I see her walking in the cage now. So I'm thinking potentially Kaylee Ray and Gigi Dolan.
Gigi would be a good shout. If you want to start a little bit further down the pack and warm up to the big hitters, that's the way to do it. Astrid says, as regards Waffle Slam, that was fun. Would be cool to see Bayley there for a while as regards NXT. I would like to hear Bayley on commentary. It just depends what the plan is for her next. I do still believe they're doing an absence makes the heart grow fonder thing. But of course, if they're not particularly planning that, get her back on our TV screens. I'd be very happy with that.
If Bayley's going to do commentary, I want her with Michael Cole and I want her with Pat McAfee. I don't think there's anywhere else that she needs to be if she's going to be on commentary.
Do you not feel she might overpower them a little bit? And I'm saying this knowing that Pat McAfee is Pat McAfee.
Yes and no. I think it'd be okay for 3 to 4, 5, 6 weeks. I think you could get away with it because it's not long term.
Yeah.
It's that the guest people can always do more than the people who are going to be there full time. So you can always get away with a little bit something different that way.
Very fair. Very fair. For those unaware, we are currently dual streaming. That means both Twitch and YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, please do remember to click that like button. That little thumbs up can make a massive difference. And even if you're watching regularly on Twitch, just popping over and hitting that button can help us find new viewership and new growth. We continue to grow at a very steady pace over on YouTube, considerably faster than Twitch, at least at the moment. And I'm trying to celebrate that and turn it into something a little more. Corey says, I have toxic attraction. I'm guessing what he means is he has the heels for this match. I think I have the heels for this match as well. I think Dakota Kai would benefit from the win, sort of returning in favour, as it were. And of course, Toxic Attraction have all the gold. They have all the gold. They are the winners, at least when it comes to so far. Ed, who have you got winning?
Toxic Attraction. I can't bet against my Mandy, so me, Mandy Rose, yeah, Toxic Attraction wins this match.
Also, it would be unfair for me to vote against Dakota Kai. I've been a fan for a very long time, since her Eevee days in Japan. I know I've said this a lot, and I will say it many, many more times. I also like that she's wearing the heel hair in a new way. Because if the hair is down, she's a heel. If the hair is up, she's a face. That's always been the Dakota Kai way. Oh, she's also going straight for the weaponry.
Dakota Kai versus Kaylee Ray. Let's go ahead and just take my money now.
Oh, I definitely want to start with that. It seems like we are starting with that, yeah.
Oh, the cages are in a weird spot in the CWC, though. I don't like that. They're at the top of the fan entrance on the hard cam.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I'm not sure what the cages are. Oh, right. It's going to take them a while to get to the actual cell, the cages.
Yeah. The cages down to the ring is gonna be a bit of a little scamper for them.
This feels very Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, where they just had cages drop in the middle of nowhere at the end for no real reason. Right, we have 5 minutes of Kaylee Ray and Dakota Kai. Both of them are armed. I've met Kaylee Ray. She's lovely and vicious and likes the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. All reasons I absolutely love this wrestler. This is a Tom Markout moment right now. Just finally getting to see these two in action.
I watched Kaylee Ray versus Viper many a times watching WCPW stuff.
Yeah.
And it is absolutely fantastic. So nobody's going to ever sit here and explain to me why Kaylee Ray can't be a star. Accent or not, she gets her point across. No questions asked.
I think, yeah, there is an accent there, but if you're used to Drew McIntyre, and people have gotten used to Drew McIntyre, we shouldn't really have to worry too much about that. I mean, they're prepared. The two women in the ring right now are the ones I would say have the greatest star power of everyone in the ring. And yes, I'm including Io Shirai in that. That's just me personally, but I'm including Io Shirai in that.
Yeah, Io can connect with people on a level in the ring, but she like Asuka, she like Kairi Sane, all of the wonderful talents from the Far East. Sometimes it's hard when they get on a microphone, and it you don't want it to play a role, but it does.
Yeah.
If you can't connect with the audience on the microphone, it makes it harder for you to do your job.
Jay Quick says, me and Ed disagreed on this match. Ed picked Toxic Attraction, I picked the baby faces. We'll see how it plays out, Jay Quick. I would wish you the best of luck, but I'm also rooting against you. Astrid says, I just noticed where the cages are. Yeah, I saw the cages earlier, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together, which is on me. I've seen WarGames, I know how it should be. Sean says, the last 2 women's WarGames matches, the women's champion has been pinned. Rhea pinned Shayna in 2019 and Raquel pinned Io. Does that happen tonight? I don't believe so. If anything, I think Mandy Rose is doing the pinning. And J-Dub says, I do enjoy a good crimped hairstyle. Kudos to Dakota Kai. And Megan says, at least they don't have to cut away to see the people in the cages. That's true. They do now have the long angle shot on the hard cam that, what's happening here? Sorry, I got distracted. There was something being built.
She's setting up a bed of kendo sticks in between the 2 rings.
What's not to like about that concept?
The pain that's going to follow with whoever goes through that bed that's not going to hold them.
The typical rule is that whoever sets it up is going through it.
Yep.
So I kind of automatically feel for Dakota Kai there. Her back is going to be racked. But you do have 2 people right here who seem to enjoy being hurt. I just really seem to enjoy it. Dakota Kai made her name earliest on in NXT by being the person who Shayna Baszler destroyed repeatedly.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly is one way to do it.
Indeed.
Wolf Gamer says, hey, WCPW, shout out. I miss those days, honestly. I got a lot of my knowledge of tons of UK wrestlers from WCPW.
Agreed. That's where I got almost all of my UK wrestling knowledge, is watching a bunch of them flow through WCPW, whether it be the World Cup, whether it be their television products. It was a fun wrestling product made by fans.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they got the guys that run now Cultaholic, but that at the time it was What Culture. And they just, you know, it is what it is. They were fans. They wanted to go ahead and put on their own stuff and do some fun stuff, and they did.
Yeah.
And the talent seemed to really enjoy it. I've yet to hear a bad story from talent being like, oh, it was a terrible experience, I would have never done it again. And, you know, Gabriel Kidd is now, you know, their young star who they tried to build themselves, is now working in the New Japan dojos as a young lion. So
a few camera issues there. A lot of very talented people came through the doors of WCPW. Now, admittedly, it was through, and nobody really stayed. Gabriel Kidd now, yes, very much in the New Japan dojo, and I believe he's on secondment now. Or, oh God, what's the word they use? There's a different word they use, but basically he's just elsewhere.
Yeah.
En route to coming back. But I'm excited to see how that goes. Last year's G1, they had a mini G1 between the 3 young lions. Basically just constant matches between the 3, and everyone just kept score for no reason. It was fantastic, and it was really enjoyable. Not so much this year, but, Dakota Kai did indeed go through it. I wouldn't want to say through it. It just all sort of collapsed under her. She's selling well, but it was a good start. Megan says, side note, I'm extremely envious of Kaylee Ray's hair. My hair used to look like that, but the upkeep is a lot to deal with and got too much for me. I'd imagine, to be fair, if you're a wrestler, you've probably got a team of people working on that.
Oh, we got more weapons here as Cora Jade comes down with her skateboard.
Did she come down with her skateboard? Literally with her skateboard.
Well, I mean, she didn't ride it down to the ring, but she has it in her
She kind of
hands.
did. She rode it out and then picked it up.
Yeah.
But I get the feeling that skateboard's getting broken over someone. How is Dakota Kai the first one up? She took the bump.
She did.
You're right there.
Yeah, you'll see it in about 5 seconds.
I'm worried about how far behind you I am now.
Well, let me know when you see Dakota Kai eat Cora Jade's knee.
Okay, yeah, I just saw that.
There we go. That's how far behind you are.
That's how far behind I'm. It's fine. You know me in NXT. I'm not that invested, but I'm invested enough. I'm invested enough. Sean...
I just love the fact that Peacock's ahead of the WWE Network.
Yeah, I don't like that. Sean says, how are you both tonight? I'm very well, thank you. Had a good day. Tried to get some sleep, didn't quite manage it, so it's going to be 2 4 a.m. finishes in a row for me. That'll be fun. That will be fun. Yay.
Raw's going to take a hit tomorrow.
Raw's going to take a hit tomorrow, yeah. I'll still be live for the watch party, I promised, and I will be there. It's just not going to be fit and firing, Tom Colohue, what can I say? How about you, Ed? Tell us about your day and your plans, because after all, you are streaming after this.
It was good. I took the morning to go ahead and give myself a short stream on my own personal Twitch to go ahead and just, play along with some Fortnite Chapter 3 as it opened this morning. Had a nice conversation with Jay Quick there. And then, had a nice little day, got some work done, did a couple other things around the house, relaxed for a bit, popped on to Sunday Brunch from Love Wrestling because they were talking nonsense about NXT because, God forbid, any of them actually watch NXT as opposed to AEW and NWA and everything else.
This is why we all need NXT experts, what can I say?
Yes, that's why we have me and Astrid.
Yep.
And Cody when he's not on assignment.
Megan says, if that skateboard makes it through intact, something's gone wrong here. You don't have a skateboard that you're not going to use. Come on. Like, it wouldn't be fair to introduce a skateboard and not at some point break it over people. Imagine, for example, if the Dudley Boys had never actually powerbombed Mae Young through a table. They'd never feel like a big deal. If you've got it, flaunt it. And in this case, that means breaking things over things. It's the only way.
I do love with that, speaking of that story in particular, the story Bully Ray always tells of that, where he's like, all right, Mae, we're going to take care of you. And she's like, no, you're not going to take care of me. I'm going to go through the table. It's going to be great. And you're going to do it as best as you can. He's like, yeah, I'm going to take care of you. She's like, no, do it like you would everybody else. He's like, are you sure? She slapped him across the face and told him he better be.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, cool.
And he did.
That crazy old lady. Love her to death. She was fantastic.
She would do anything for wrestling. Literally anything. Literally anything. Sometimes too much. Sometimes far, far too much. Okay.
Oh, we got a mystery bag.
Here we go. Gigi Dolan in early. Looking for more weaponry. I do get the feeling this ring is going to fill up pretty quickly with weapons. And I like that. I always like that.
It seems to be the way with the women's matches. The women's matches always seem to need a little bit of extra help just to give it that War Games feel.
I always like the trash can throw. Jadeb says, has Peacock finally gotten their act together in terms of pay-per-view streams? Ed, what do you reckon?
Sure. I mean, as far as this one is concerned, it's about level with the WWE Network, a little bit ahead, so that's always great.
You can't quite trust it, can you?
We'll see what happens when it comes to day one in the Royal Rumble, when you've got 25 times the people on here, and whether or not the stream breaks or not.
The Royal Rumble will be the big test, I feel. Astrid says it seems so odd to see the faces in control of the match. I agree. I know we're a bit behind that comment now, but WarGames does seem to go back and forth until everybody's in the ring. It's like they're always waiting to actually start it properly, and until then, I do get the feeling a lot of it is sort of called on the fly in the meantime, which is good, especially in NXT. You're able to Someone's in the ring. They've just come in. You know they're going to get put over, so you spend like 5 minutes putting them over. That works for me as a system, as a general system. You know there's not going to be a pin before before everyone's in, so you can take your time. You can build individuals. In the Royal Rumble, we've just used that as an example. You get 1 or 2 minutes when you first come in to hit a few finishes and look good before someone punches you in the face and it's business as usual. WarGames, you get 3 minutes, and it's a bit of a clearer ring.
Yeah, and the double ring always makes WarGames so cool. I love the idea of bouncing between the 2 rings throughout the rest of the show.
Yeah.
And the non-WarGames matches.
Wolfgamer says, I don't know how to feel about the placement of the small cages. It's different. It is definitely different. It's I've not warmed to it yet. I like being able to see the reactions, but also we're seeing a lot of camera from inside the cage, which sort of takes away from the action in the ring.
Yeah, I was gonna say, between both Wolfgamers and Megan's comment next, the new crowd setup doesn't work well for the WarGames double ring. For me, everything feels cramped. Yeah, the CWC, while it looks fantastic for normal pay-per-views, for everything else, it's a smaller venue than what they're used to. Ooh, that was innovative. And it's gonna definitely take some getting used to for WarGames. Then again, we have this once a year. I can go ahead with it looking a little awkward one time a year.
Yeah.
For one night.
Oh, it was innovative, yeah. I like that. I do like stuff like that, where undoubtedly Dakota Kai had to be there just saying, okay, back a little more, bit more to the left, and so on. But I'm willing to suspend the disbelief a little bit on that one. See, I don't see I'm saying the letter C a lot. I don't see the CWC enough to really comment, but I know that when they've done previous takeovers with crowds, it's felt much larger. Just much larger. CWC naturally quite cramped, I feel. Having the 2 rings really doesn't help with the layout they're going for. Mm-hmm. Io Shirai is now heading down to the ring. We have some of the most colourful ring gear I've ever seen in the ring right now. We do. Gigi Dolan is positively absolutely plain. Yeah. And that's not a world I could ever imagine living in.
Black and white for Gigi Dolan with that orange hair.
Yeah.
You've got Dakota Kai and her multicolored gear. You got Io Shirai and all her neon and purple.
Got red and green for Kaylee Ray.
And everything.
It's a little bit crazy in a good way. More weaponry coming in. Chairs. Another trash can, because if there's one thing we need more of, it's a trash can. She was about to put it on her own head, and Dakota Kai says no, and says no with her boot. I like that. Sean says Io has a trash can. Is she going to dive off the cage of it again? I doubt they're going to full-on repeat the spot, but I imagine they'll tease it and then do something slightly different.
I kind of hope she does the spot again. That was fantastic last year.
It was the one big viral moment, wasn't it?
It definitely was.
They actually replayed it as well, just so you can really see that. Wolfgamer says, I'll forever say that I miss Full Sail. Full Sail was an absolute cauldron. It was loud, it was passionate, the fans really cared about everything going on. It's everything you want from a wrestling arena. Unfortunately, they ain't there no more. They've lost that. The CWC doesn't quite have that automatic love of all of the wrestlers. NXT 2.0 came at a damn good time.
It did indeed. I mean, Full Sail, you kind of understand what's going on. You're still in the middle of a pandemic. I have a feeling that relationship will rekindle again at some point. As much as they love the CWC, I'm sure Vince would love to let his performance center be the performance center again.
Yeah.
At some point, considering this is part of the PC.
Well, the thing is, there's no one really left to train, is there? Who's actually being developed in the performance center now that you've fired, 40% of your workforce? There's not many people left.
We've got some debuts incoming. We have the debuting Tiffany Stratton coming. She is playing the blonde-haired bimbo rich girl. So we will see that in the coming weeks. We got a new wrestler. I forget his name. Ifonte, I believe it was.
Okay.
Last week on NXT, he wrestled Solo Sikoa, so that will be interesting. But I mean, they're gonna constantly have classes coming in of talent that they need to train.
Yeah.
And they're gonna need a PC more than ever, because if they're not bringing in independent darlings, they're going to be bringing in people who are more likely to be greener and need more training at the base level.
Thomas on YouTube says, I'm surprised they didn't go to an actual arena to do this. I wouldn't have been too surprised if they decided to go full TakeOver, but I just don't think 2.0 is going to go with the TakeOver system anymore. They don't seem like they particularly want to go to arenas, even though I feel the tickets would sell. Do you think it's worth going back to that dynamic, at least for the arenas, Ed?
I think at some point they will. I think that right now they need to get some loyalty with the fan base about the people who are here and the people who are gone. And they've lost, not only have they lost a lot of the talent that the fans loved, they've lost a lot of the fans that the diehards were.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of those regulars that you would see every week at NXT are no longer there at these 2.0 shows. You know, Kyle Scarborough is no longer there. You're not seeing, as I call her, NXT grandma.
Yeah.
You know, some of those more definitive, characterized fans aren't there. Could they sell it out? Absolutely. If they go on tour with some of the bigger shows, they could totally do it on a Sunday afternoon in an arena. But I don't think that they're going to do that anytime soon, as they build up people like Braun Breaker and Tony D'Angelo and Carmelo Hayes and Joe Gacy.
NXT always used to be the show for the diehards. I can see what Astrid's saying to follow this up, saying they're really trying to bring new fans, opening it more to the public. I get the email every week to get a ticket. And it does seem like they're trying to basically change everything that they were before, even though what they were before, it was working. It just wasn't necessarily working for the WWE by and large.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I keep telling Astrid that I want to do a 2.0 NXT with her sitting in her car after the show, telling us about what she saw live.
I'm sure that day will come. I mean, if you get the email every week, you might as well give it a shot at some point. Shauna says, does the shaman get revealed tonight? Now, tell me a little bit about this shaman.
So after MSK lost the tag team titles to Imperium, they have gone looking for the shaman to help bring them back to what they were, that they feel like they've lost something. So they've been on a 6-week journey of vignettes where they're attempting to find their shaman. Last week, even their GPS was making fun of them for how long it has taken them to find the shaman.
Wow.
They got pulled over by the police during one of the segments asking how fast they thought they were going. And they were like, oh, 35, 45. They were going 7 miles an hour. I mean, there's lots of weed references to everything. They keep trying to make sure that the police don't see into their, little fanny bag, because you know what's inside. But needless to say, they've been looking for a shaman. I got Astrid's hope all excited that it was going to be John Morrison when he was still with the company. And then 3 days later, John Morrison was let go. And I was sad. Because, you think shaman and you think tag team specialists. And inevitably you think, oh, great. It can be the shaman of sexy, John Morrison. That would not be the... Ooh.
At this rate, it looks like it might end up being Matt Riddle instead, to be fair.
I'm thinking RVD. If it's going to be a pot smoker kind of guy. Yeah, you saw what I just said. She does not look healthy at all.
No, lots of checking in happening right now. I think that arm, that's that.
Didn't go right.
The landing was, I'm gonna use the word terrible. The rotation just wasn't there. That was a late rotation. A lot of people do that. Sometimes it works out really well. AJ Styles very well known for his late rotations. But I'd like a check on that shoulder. If she's selling that, then replays. Credit to her.
She got over enough. I think she's going to be okay. She's safe enough. She got the late rotation. Yeah, she lands on her shoulder. She may have dislocated the shoulder, which, if that's the extent of it, that's not terrible. Like, we can deal with a separated or dislocated shoulder. It'll put a small dent into her career, but nothing life-threatening. At least she's moving and she's up. She's in pain.
Yeah, she does land entirely on her shoulder.
You can see right now, I know I'm a bit ahead of you. Kaylee Ray is still checking on her, like, across the ring, as she chokes Dakota Kai with a kendo stick.
Yeah, you can see her head turned. She seems to be heading towards it. Yeah, she's heading towards the door and the referees.
Io just shut the door and told the referees they're not getting in here. And she's now dragging her. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! I know what Io's about to do.
Well, if Io's doing this, then surely...
Uh-huh.
Okay, you have me scared now. You have me scared for what I'm about to see now. No. 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 This better be a sell. Like, this genuinely better be a sell. Oh no, that's a sell.
Looks
that's
like
a sell.
She's better.
That's a sell. That was not how you relocate an arm. That's a sell, and a good one in the end. But that's a sell.
Oh, that was something. Good job on Cora Jade. I was buying into all of that.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
And then Io with as soon as Io went to the shoulder, she put her foot. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah,
I know what Io's planning on doing. This is not healthy.
The stamp when she supposedly relocated the arm, bit of a giveaway on that one.
Yeah.
We are getting a plethora of interesting responses on this one. Wolfgamer says it definitely looked like a late rotation. Absolutely. Astrid just says no way. Wolfgamer says ow, 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 and fuck. And then Sean says thank goodness it's not a real injury. Yeah, that looked... undoubtedly it hurt. I think that may have been called on the spot, as it were. But that's not how you do that. Megan says, I feel sorry for anyone playing a drinking game where you have to take a shot for each weapon in this. Why would anyone play that drinking game? Genuine question. Why would anyone risk their life like that? Because that's not the right thing to do. Absolutely not.
I would be drinking all of the alcohol.
All of it. Every little bit. Raquel Gonzalez is trying to fire a fire extinguisher and it's just not quite working out for her. She got it in the end, but she screams at Dakota and then has to stop and play with it again. Okay,
Raquel's put Dakota in the bin.
We have a powerhouse in the ring. Naturally, she's going to get quite a few good moments here. There are a lot of bins. In fact, there's 4 bins. I'm getting the feeling at the end of the match, 4 different people or one whole team will be in the bin. Oh. Nice fit. She ain't getting out of that herself. Okay. Gigi Dawn's running into it.
She did. She did indeed. Uh-oh. Io's headed to the top of the bin.
The top of the bin?
I repeat, Io Shirai is headed to the top of the cage with a bin in her hand.
There we go. Megan says it's December. People do dumb stuff in December. I can't argue with that. People trying to gain just enough attention to be Royal Rumble featured. Raquel Gonzalez is checking on Cora Jade, who still has not been involved in anything. She's still stayed out of it.
Well, I mean, she's still selling. That's good.
She seems to be providing a distraction so that Raquel Gonzalez can be out of play at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Which may be part of the plan. I mean, we've got Tower of Doom coming. Jadeb says, what's the end game for the shoulder out of socket? She's still not contributing. We don't know yet. We don't know yet. But it may just be providing distraction. It may just be a weak link so that someone can take the loss and be protected. Lots of options available for it.
Yeah, it could just be a way to ride her out of the match. You know, every now and then you just need something to put somebody so that they're not featured in the match for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So
yep,
it doesn't necessarily hurt to have a reason for it, and that is certainly a reason.
It's also possible, of course, that she is hurt. She's just not that hurt, so she just needs a minute.
And it makes sense that her teammates would be checking on her constantly back and forth. So
she's moving the arm plenty now.
Yeah. Here comes the goddess.
Well, it wasn't a moonsault off the top of the cage, but it was still quite nice. Io Shirai basically cleared the bins.
Andy.
Breathe. Gone a bit Corey Graves on us there.
I got my water. We're good.
Well done. Well done. Jada was suggesting maybe it was a work that became real. I'm confident she will have hurt her arm in that landing. I just think she may have overplayed it because it's good drama to add to a match.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth going ahead and doing. It's definitely worth playing up. And now you've got a heel who can go after her and attack her and make it that much better.
Yeah, absolutely. If Mandy...
Yep.
And in fact, straight away.
Yeah.
Straight away.
I was going to say, straight off to her. It's perfect.
It's always a good way to get heel heat on someone who doesn't necessarily radiate heel heat. Mandy Rose is one of those. She might just be a little bit too cool. Marcus has just joined us. Says Johnny Wrestling is officially leaving. He's of that opinion because of a post goodbye from Tommaso Ciampa. Doesn't think Johnny Gargano would work on the main roster. Do you think Johnny Gargano would have worked on the main roster? He's not going to. He's gone, but...
Yeah. Johnny Gargano as a character and as a wrestler can absolutely work on the main roster.
Yeah.
That being said, Johnny is going to go home and enjoy some time with his pregnant wife and, field some calls from everybody.
Yeah.
And he could potentially be anywhere, anytime for whoever needs him. I think he's ending up in Impact, to be perfectly honest with you.
Now, what are you going for?
I think Impact could use him. And there are a lot of cool dream matches there. Him versus the walking weapon, Josh Alexander, is at the top of my list for Johnny Gargano matches in Impact. But Trey Miguel for that X Division title.
Yeah. I could see that being a lot of fun. Okay, so I was wondering why Kaylee Ray was a face, because that's not Kaylee Ray's game. There was certainly a little suggestion there that maybe that's not the case.
No, Kaylee Ray is in this for herself. Kaylee Ray wants a piece of Mandy Rose. I do love that the genesis of all these feuds started with Mandy Rose deciding she wanted to be the NXT Women's Champion by walking past Raquel Gonzalez backstage while Raquel was doing an interview. And Mandy says, "That title looks good on you. It'll look better on me." And that was the genesis of Mandy Rose being the NXT Women's Champion.
NXT feuds are never particularly intricate. It's a large part of this is because they usually have a small enough roster that people can just chase championships because the route is usually pretty clear for them. Particularly in the women's division. I mean, we've got a few more women, yes, but this is the majority of the women's division right here, and they're all in and around the championship right now. So they can have that play. It's just a case of making it work.
Yeah, but I mean, as we talk about that, we can also say we have KC and KC who aren't here. We have Indy and Persia Perota. And we have Saray who's still hanging around and doing her thing. Like, there's a 5 on top of that. That's 5 more women that are just like here for the party. Elektra Lopez is there with Santos Escobar and Legado del Fantasma. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Oh, Cora Jade's back in it. Sort of.
The spot a little while ago when it was the 3 faces stood in front of Cora Jade,
Yep.
that definitely screamed planned spot to me.
How about the 4 heels chasing down Cora Jade in the corner of the ring?
I mean, I'm not going to argue about that. That works also fine. Most important thing is they've got their backs to whatever is going on behind them. Jadeb says Mandy moving to NXT was a great move for her, in my opinion. She is over. She absolutely is. She was moved because they felt she needed more development. Well, she seems to be dominating NXT. It does seem like anyone who's actually come back is being used pretty well, with the exception, unfortunately, of Ember Moon, who had a good start but didn't quite keep going.
The problem with Ember is that there was nothing for her to do.
Yeah.
She could have had dream match after dream match, but WWE had zapped so much of the character away from her that they couldn't go back to the War Goddess, but they didn't know what else to do with her. And I think that she was just ultimately just unhappy anywhere in WWE and was just looking for a way out.
She was quite conclusively beaten by Shayna Baszler on her way out the door. It's hard to recover from that, especially so soon after. I can't necessarily say that we're building up to a finish just yet. There's still a lot of weapons in the ring, and everyone still seems to be up and about picking the fight. There's not been many pin attempts so far. This is feeling like it'll be a heel-heavy night when it comes to the wins.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on what you think Joe Gacy is. If he's a heel or a face, that will determine whether or not you think... Because in a lot of remarks, you could say that Joe...
You heard that, man?
Yeah. I missed the finish.
Oh, I haven't seen the finish yet then.
Well, tradition continues.
Okay. That was a slow finish.
Yeah. I didn't even see it.
The match just sort of happened around them.
Yep. Well, it was definitely a work. Cora Jade gets the win.
Yep.
Alrighty. Don't know how I feel about that. This would have been a disappointment if it had main evented. I will be honest.
Oh, with that finish, yes. Like, I was watching and still very confused as to how that was a finish. Ghost of Nay says, sure. Interesting finish. Interesting indeed.
I don't hate it. I don't love it. But, I mean, it is what it is.
Let's see if the replays are working out for us as to what happened here. We're getting replays of the dive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now that I can see it from above, I can see that the landing, she then moved her arms repeatedly in order to sell. The story of the match is Cora Jade.
Which is good for Cora Jade. It puts her on a new pedestal, which is always a plus.
Of all the people in this match, she is someone who could use it more.
Yeah.
Raquel Gonzalez was just in as a powerhouse. She's a former champion. She doesn't need it. Dakota Kai's just returned. She doesn't necessarily need it. Cora Jade looked like a bit of a badass there. I'm still waiting for the actual finish, though.
Yep.
Was it?
She just sneaks in. People are just doing stuff, and Io has Mandy in the back, and Cora just notices JC Jane laying there and goes ahead and stacks her up and pins her.
Pure opportunism. And why the hell not? Astrid says, not something I expected. I thought Dakota would have gotten the pin. In the end, not to be. Io Shirai slowing down Mandy Rose there. It's a loss, and it's an awkward one.
It's the kind of thing that they've been doing with Cora Jade. Cora's been getting a lot of her wins via fluky kind of means.
Yeah.
She pinned Frankie Monet with a roll-up out of the blue. I forget who else she pinned on NXT TV with that kind of a thing. It's par for the course for her that she's kind of just in the right place at the right time. I just didn't expect it tonight. And especially after the words out of Tom Colohue's mouth is, they're not really building up to the finish here, and then
the finish
20
happened.
seconds later, the finish.
Yeah. It didn't feel like there was a finish coming, but I suppose that's kind of what they were trying to make us think. Oh. It worked. Ghost says, definitely with a slower WarGames than usual. Very weapon heavy, not a lot of notable moments except Cora Jade's shoulder and Io freaking us all out. Yeah, naturally. Io Shirai definitely, that's going to live in the memory. that moment of correcting the arm, that's going to live in the memory. Megan says that seemed a bit abrupt. Pardon me 1 second.
Yeah, Megan, it definitely seemed abrupt. It was one of those things that, thank you, Sean. It is Cora pinned Electra like that as well. So, but yeah, it's definitely abrupt. But then again, when you're having somebody take advantage of the moment, that's kind of exactly what you need to do. It's just not something you expect out of a big War Games match. But hey, WWE's telling their story, and I'm here to listen.
Definitely not a main event sort of finish, though, and I think that's absolutely fair. Yeah, Astrid says Mandy 2, her storyline is winning by roll-ups out of nowhere. And Jadeb says there was no Io Shirai in a garbage can. There was not, but there is still time. I will say that until the end of the entire show. There is still time to see Io Shirai just dive off the top of a cage. Believe. We're getting a bit of a highlight reel of debutantes incoming, which is very 2.0, not something I'm used to seeing on a War Games.
You'll have to prescribe. Let me know what's going on. I am seeing ads for Haynes at the moment.
We have seen vignettes for Tiffany Stratton and Josh Briggs.
Okay, so Josh Briggs is part of a tag team that we affectionately call them on NXT as JBBJ. Josh Briggs and Bryce Jensen, I think it is. Either
way, Josh Briggs' whole thing seems to be that he likes meat, which feels very Baron Corbin.
They're just two kind of roughneck guys. They fought each other in a match and then went to the bar, and they saw each other at the bar and got in a fight and went ahead and became friends and became a tag team.
That's oddly realistic.
Yeah, I can definitely see that happening in NXT.
It's unusual for WWE to have such a realistic thing. If that had been how the Acolytes got together, for example, that would have been perfect. Ultimately, of course, the Acolytes got together because The Undertaker's evil influence. But, you know, if you just ignore that completely and pretend that they just got into a bar fight, it works perfectly.
Yep. We just saw a Boa promo. Boa has taken over from Mei Ying as they have dropped the Mei Ying character completely, and she passed it on to Boa.
Which is a way to do things, I suppose.
Brooks Jensen. Thank you, Astrid. This is why I have Astrid on NXT, so she can correct me when I just think things and
like when I have
say them out loud.
How I have Megan on here who corrects me when I say things.
Yes. Oh, here we go. We got some of the MSK promos. Oh.
Megan says Tiffany's giving me Cher from Clueless and Elle Woods vibes. I could see that.
I can definitely see that.
I could definitely see that. And Ghost says I kind of want the Shaman to be revealed tonight. Hey, if it's RVD, it's RVD. That's what you're thinking, isn't it, Ed?
I think so. It might be. Oh, here we go. Might be happening now. Oh, this Tuesday.
You didn't think they were going to do anything but clickbait it, right?
Well, I was hoping.
Those boots don't scream RVD to me. Well, someone's debuting. They've got a reason to tune in.
We do.
Wolfgamer says I still don't like the Boa bit.
I don't think Boa likes the Boa bit, but we're stuck with it.
I've got to ask the question because I'm still confused by this. Why is LA Knight on the same team as Pete Dunne, Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa? What's their actual motivation for this?
Because Grayson Waller's on the opposite team. I legitimately think it's essential. It's as good as there's nobody else who's like 2.0. Like I think this spot was going to go to somebody like Thatcher or Samoa Joe, but unfortunately they're not available, and so they have to kind of go with somebody else. It might have been Kyle O'Reilly before they decided to put him in the tag team match.
Yeah,
maybe that was where it was going to go. Who knows? The funny thing is, as great as it as odd as it is that LA Knight is in it, he is the best promo out of the four of them in the two promos that they've put up on, like they put up a promo online after Johnny Gargano lost, and it's LA Knight's show just stealing the show on that promo.
The thing is, he doesn't really even feel NXT 1.0 LA Knight. He wasn't there very long. He feels as 2.0 as anyone else, to be fair.
I think the thing is that you can see the story of LA Knight is still the story of a guy who went around and did the things he needed to do to get to where he is.
Yeah.
You know, he may not have done all of the indie stuff, like being in the, you know, the bingo halls and the school gyms and stuff like that. But he traveled the world kind of doing it to get there, as opposed to people like Grayson Waller and, you know, the 2.0 lads, where they're like, no, we're just getting the push and we're the new crowd.
Astrid says, as regards Tiffany, she reminds me of Taryn Terrell. I can see that one as well, to be fair. Jada was saying, as regards LA Knight, it's new versus vets, and LA Knight, even though he's not an NXT vet, is still a vet. That I can see. He definitely is a very experienced man. Megan says, I will say I started watching the pre-show during LA Knight's promo, and that was really good. He's definitely one of the most comfortable talkers in NXT. Really stands out for that. We are heading into Imperium defending the tag team championships against Kyle O'Reilly and that guy. Who's that guy?
That guy is Von Wagner. He is better known as Cal Bloom. He is the son of Matt Bloom, and he is so when
is he
Kyle
the son
O'Reilly
of Matt Bloom? Because I feel like we've got this one wrong before.
Nope. He is the son of Matt Bloom. He is the son of the head trainer at the Performance Center. He is learning from his dad. He is absolutely fantastic. He was one of the zombies in the Miz versus John Morrison match.
I also believe he acted as a bodyguard for Adam Pearce, and then there were reports saying that he was going to continue being a bodyguard for Adam Pearce, and then we haven't seen him since.
Yeah. They even brought it up on NXT. Kyle O'Reilly came up to him backstage and was like, hey, I don't know what's going on Friday nights. I don't care. You do whatever the hell you want to do. It doesn't matter. When you're here on Tuesdays, we're all about this. And I'm like, hey, they brought up something that happened on the main roster. Good for them.
It's weird, isn't it? They usually live in their own little universe.
But yeah, this is apparently... A lot of people are reporting that potentially Kyle O'Reilly's contract is up. I haven't heard that one until this weekend, that Kyle O'Reilly's done at the end of the year or potentially done already. I think out of everybody who could potentially leave, I think Kyle's the one who's likely to stay.
Kyle O'Reilly, for me, I think he's completely done. And I think Roderick Strong's waiting for his opportunity to go as well. I think the Undisputed Era will reunite at some point in AEW sooner rather than later. Not as the Undisputed Era, because WWE owns the rights to it, but I don't think any of them are particularly happy or were particularly happy in WWE.
Seems like it. You know, Kyle's doing what he needs to do to kind of help get Von Wagner over and to make Von Wagner look good. And by the way, Von Wagner is really interesting in the ring. He almost plays like the AJ to Omos.
Okay.
Like, he's the big guy, but he does a lot of the AJ spots in that team. He's got a lot more agility than you would think.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing more of it. But when it comes to Kyle O'Reilly, I think it was nearly 2 years ago I reported there was a plan to get the Undisputed Era as a whole up to the main roster. And it just never happened because several of the members just didn't want to go. They just did not want to go. Since then, it seems like the members of the Undisputed Era don't want to stay either. They don't want to go to main roster. They don't want to stay in NXT. And honestly, with the opportunities available to them, I can't blame them. These are some very talented people. Roderick Strong, the only one who seems likely to stick around, but that's just because his contract is still going. And I don't know how much longer that's happening. Kyle O'Reilly, for me, will not be sticking around. We'll get Red Dragon back very shortly.
That'll be fun. You know, I'm all for Kyle doing his thing and popping up wherever he goes. But, you know, I'll be one of those people that pops up and says it. As happy as Adam Cole is in AEW and as happy as I am for him to be happy, his booking isn't something that I would expect to make him the happiest camper in the world. Like, Yeah, he's working with his buddies and all, but he's doing very un-Adam Cole-like things. Like, yeah, these are the kind of things he did in ROH that he kind of enjoyed with the whole Young Bucks portion. But, like, this isn't the kind of stuff that you expect a guy of Adam Cole's caliber to be doing on a week in and week out basis.
I would give this one time. For me, Adam Cole is the only signing they've made recently that I would consider to be the future. If, for example, CM Punk and Daniel Bryan hadn't signed and Adam Cole had, I think he'd be top level already. But I think they will have made a lot of promises to a lot of people recently, including Andrade, including Miro, including Malachi Black. And then they've got to keep a number of other people happy. The contracts are starting to come due. We've seen with Big Swole, first one to publicly say it, that the contract came up and neither of them really wanted to go for it, either AW or Big Swole. They decided to part ways. She's not the first one, but she's the first one to say it publicly. AEW are in an interesting position right now where they need to trim the fat a little bit, because there's a lot of people on that roster that they don't need. I don't think Dustin Rhodes will be there that much longer, to be completely honest.
No, I think this was always a last ride for him, and I expect him to be on the way out the doors sometime soon. Billy Gunn's done a lot of good with getting Austin Gunn in there and doing the Gun Club stuff, which is nice. But they've got a lot of people in AEW that aren't doing a whole hell of a lot, and at least on television. And it's going to be interesting to see as these, like you say, as these contracts start running out, which one stays and which one goes, especially as they keep getting told by the fans, oh, we have to keep bringing in this person. We have to bring in this person that's been released from WWE or left WWE. It's like, you can't keep bringing in all this talent or you're going to end up like WWE, where you have a bunch of people and all of a sudden AEW is going to have a Black Friday where it's 10 people to let go.
Unfortunately, that is very much a possibility. They are spending money and they're not making it. They are just not making it at this point in time. They have to be realistic about that. I am seeing Von Wagner just flying all over the place and I'm very much enjoying it. Oh, lovely.
He just wrestles in an interesting way for a big man.
Yeah.
And he is a big man.
I can see what you're saying. It does stand out, which, if you're a wrestler, your mission is not necessarily to win wrestling matches, it's to stand out.
Yeah. And they've made a really good team. So, like, if this is Kyle's last night, I'm only upset because him and Vaughn have just started to kind of get going.
Yeah.
And I want to see what happens there. And eventually, you kind of want to see a heel turn. So even if Kyle were to sign a short extension, say, not as short as Johnny Gargano with 1 week, but maybe,
3 months or so.
Exactly. Stay till WrestleMania and then let him have a, TakeOver style, exclusive, Peacock exclusive show. Because I would say TakeOver for this show, but this is not a TakeOver.
No, TakeOver, the name TakeOver, that's going.
Yeah, apparently. They've been very clear not to use the word TakeOver.
Mm-hmm. Which is going to be especially more awkward for NXT UK, which also use TakeOver for all of their pay-per-views. They don't have many pay-per-views NXT UK. In fact, if you take out Volta, which is being suggested, you've already taken out Kaylee Ray, you don't really have much of an NXT UK. There's a reason those championships don't change hands all that much, and Meiko Satomura could certainly do very well at the helm of NXT 2.0 right now. She could certainly do very well winning a Royal Rumble and challenging a Becky Lynch. Mm-hmm. I don't think you need to worry about developing her.
I know Sasha has her high on her list of people she wants to work with in the company.
Everyone
She's
does.
very high on that list. Because wasn't Sasha the one who convinced them to bring her into NXT UK?
Sasha was the one who would not shut up about it, yeah.
I was going to say, because Sasha went to train with her in Japan when she went on her mental health break.
Yeah.
The first time.
Yes. With a number of people. Sasha does that quite a bit. If there's a big match coming, she will find someone new to train with, and she loves training with Satomura. She was certainly one of the people who would not shut up to Vince about it, but there were plenty more who really want to work with Satomura. Becky Lynch I've mentioned, and Becky Lynch is very much the case. But even beyond that, there's quite a number of people. Ronda Rousey wanted to work with Satomura. She wasn't as vocal about it as Sasha Banks was, but she knows Meiko Satomura. She wants to work with her. Nia Jax was one of the people who wanted to work with her. That's obviously not going to happen now. But I can see Shayna Baszler wanting to work with her. Natalia's vocalized it at some point. There's a lot of people who want to make that happen. And I'd be very excited to see a Satomura versus Sonya Deville, for example.
And the great thing with Satomura is that not only is she signed to a contract as an in-ring talent, she is one of the trainers and coaches for the NXT UK Performance Center, keeping an eye on the younger developing female talent over there. Isla Dawn, Zaya Brookside. I don't believe Candy Floss is still there, but at one point she was there as well, developing and things like that.
Yeah, she was there for a while. She left by her choice. Won't go into any more detail on that one because not my place to say.
Yeah.
I believe she said
I'm just
herself.
saying, yeah, I was going to say, I know at one point she was there, but I've not seen her do anything WWE related, so I assume that she had left on her own because she was definitely not part of any of the releases, because I would have noticed that. Because she's an ultra talented young woman with a very interesting hairstyle that always catches my eye.
She has a very bright future. I just don't think that bright future is with the WWE. Which is one of the first times I've been able to say that and people actually realise what I'm talking about, because with all the releases and with the rise of AEW, you start to realise that you really don't need WWE anymore to become a big name. Look at MJF. Look at Darby Allin. There are so many people at AEW are pushing just right at the minute. Look at Josh Alexander. There are so many people right now really making a name for themselves without ever being a part of WWE. They're all over the shop. And quite a few people have told me when it comes to wrestlers currently working in the independent scene, quite a few wrestlers have told me they don't see WWE as a destination anymore. They don't.
And that's to be expected. Like, it's one of those things that you would expect it to kind of always be there, but I mean, they can't be the end all be all for the end of time. There was always going to be a time period where somebody did something differently that was going to move to a new way of thinking and bring people into a different thing. Right now, AEW is super popular, but like you said, AEW has yet to turn a profit. And Shad Khan, not Tony Khan, when I talk about with the business side and the money side, I always ignore Tony and go straight to Daddy.
Yeah, Tony just spends the money.
Exactly. When Shad Khan runs a business, he doesn't run a failing business. If this company doesn't start turning a profit, Shad Khan will get rid of it, no matter how much Tony loves it.
Yes, he will. Eventually the financier will get bored. That's just a fact of business. It's a fact of life.
No.
You don't become rich
from LA Knight.
by wasting money. As tag matches go, this has been nice and high-paced. I don't necessarily feel that the tag team division in NXT is as strong as it's been in the past.
It's not as strong as it's been in the past, but they have a bunch of wonderful, fun tag teams going right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Legado del Fantasma, you have Imperium, you have MSK, you have the now comedy act Grizzled Young Veterans. Yes, they've ruined Grizzled Young Veterans and made them a comedy act. Did you know that James Drake is now weekly being taught on NXT how to distract people, so that him and Zach Gibson can cheat? Yeah, James Drake has to be taught how to be a distraction.
That's not great. That's not great.
It's not great.
It's not great, that. I'd expect a little bit more effort to be put into them. I think that's what I'm wanting to say. Just a little bit more effort.
They've been doing comedy things. Like at one point, they stole Toxic Attraction's NXT Women's Tag Team Championships to show off to Zach Gibson's Nana, who is apparently super loaded with money, who might be dying soon, that they were champions so that he could be the primary in her will, so that when she goes, that he gets more of the money.
You're saying they've ruined them, but there you have a massive smile on your face enjoying it.
Like, it sounds funny, but it's not my Grizzled Young Veterans. Like, Grizzled Young Veterans are these hardcore brawler.
Oh yeah.
super heels.
Rough and ready.
They don't care about being funny and getting laughs and stuff like that. So, oh, wow, that chop block.
Okay, something to look forward to.
Sorry, I apologize.
No, I'm actually fine with it. Because you know me. My eyes wander off the screen. There is a lot going on right now on all of my TV
there's
screens.
The high-low.
That was a nice chop block. Yeah, there is a lot going on my screen. I've got 3 screens active, just so everyone is aware. I've got the stream set up here. I've got all of my stats for YouTube and for Twitch over there. Then I've got the actual show there. I can't watch all 3 at once. I just can't. It's not possible. So yeah, every now and then a little reminder that I should be paying attention. It's welcome. It's welcome. Also, let's be fair. You and I don't have the greatest attention spans.
No, because, and again, well, I say this every time we're on and we do these shows, but I feel like it needs to be said every time. This is the one time every couple months that me and you get to verbally chit chat. Like, we'll talk throughout the days on Twitter and things like that.
Yeah.
And do things. But, like, Astrid, no, we're not putting that comment up. Hopefully he doesn't have the ability to put comments up on his dual stream. We're not bringing those comments up. No. Bad Astrid. She's not wrong, but we don't need to talk about that. So we'll finish the point I had first. So when me and you get on these watch-alongs, it more or less becomes us just chit-chatting about what we think of wrestling and all the things going on that are kind of sort of related to what's going on in the ring.
In the meantime, let me catch up with the chat a little bit. Ghost says Mae Young is no more and will now be known as Wendy Chu. So where does this go with Boa? Well,
Mae Young, not Mae Young.
My apologies.
No, that's fine. Mae Young is no more, and that's sad and unfortunate. And I miss her every day.
Yes.
But yes, Mae Ying is
Thank you.
And they're making her Wendy Chu, yes.
Ghost also says, I'm calling a Von Wagner heel turn to escort Kyle out of NXT. That would certainly be a good way to finish this match if his contract is up that soon. Just lose the match and then have just a massive brawl. That would work for me. Megan says the crowd aren't singing along to Imperium's theme, and that annoys me so much. It's really catchy. Like, I was there when Volta debuted, and it's just really catchy. And that's the finish. Imperium do indeed return. Jacob says, so is this Kyle and Gargano's last nights? Yeah, pretty much. Don't expect to see either of them going forwards. At least those are the reports, which Ghost has clarified as well. Sean says, most on Twitter are saying Cora's shoulder is legit injured. It isn't. Very confident of that, but obviously I'm not a medical professional. Omega says, Tom and NXT watch along. Ooh, indeed. We always cover the big shows, me and Ed. We also don't necessarily cover just the big show. Okay, shut up. Shut your mouth. We cover these shows. We watch them. We definitely do. Sean says, how long does Candice stay? Until her contract expires, and maybe longer. And Megan would like to correct you. Von Wagner is the son of Wayne Bloom, not Kyle Bloom. We have got this wrong before.
Oh, did I get it wrong again?
J-Dub says Adam Cole's booking has been subpar at best in AEW. I do think potentially they're just giving him time to bed in, but also it's Adam Cole. Push the man. Sean says, does Sean Spears leave AEW? Probably. He hasn't really done much there of note. He hasn't really done much of note. J-Dub says they need all the people for their YouTube shows. The problem is I'm guessing there isn't a lot of money to be made off of those shows on YouTube. I could be wrong.
Uh-oh.
Sadly, J-Dub, I think you are. YouTube is very, very beneficial when it comes to the finance for any company. AEW is definitely benefiting from having so much going on with Dark Elevation and the like. Just not enough to pay all the wrestlers, but it does fund the ones who are on Dark. I like that Von Wagner is now behind Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah.
In a very menacing way. He's gearing up for this while there is a thank you, Kyle. Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Didn't expect the duck, gotta be honest. I didn't expect Kyle O'Reilly, if he's going out, to be going out on a high.
I didn't either. Considering he took the pin.
Yeah,
It made a whole lot of sense that if he was on his way out. I think there's more to this.
There may be more to this.
What is it? The rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated?
Could be. Have to wait and see on that one, but I think there's a... It may be they signed a brief extension to get the feud out of the way.
Maybe.
I wouldn't be angry at it.
They've done it before.
Tommy, Triple H has not left NXT. I don't know where you're getting your news from, but it's definitely wrong. Tommy's also asked, why has the WWE brought back Edge? Money. Jacob says, Tom, I remember you making a comment somewhere about lots of new names coming to Impact. Besides the recently signed Jonah, aka Bronson Reed, who else? There is a number of people who are currently not able to be signed, so I cannot mention their names for risk of being sued. Being really blunt there.
They did also sign Speedball Mike Bailey. Let's not. I know he's not a huge name, but as far as Canadian independent wrestling and worldwide wrestling in the independent section, Speedball Mike Bailey is a big name going to Impact.
There is a number of people I feel and I've heard are coming to Impact. I just can't necessarily name names as is. And yes, as Ed's rightly pointed out there, they're not all formerly WWE wrestlers. Megan enjoyed the thank you Kyle chant. Says he just beat down Von Wagner. He did indeed. I was surprised. I was very surprised. And Jada says Kyle just flashed the Undisputed Era sign.
And 3 crotch chops.
I like the crotch chops. That was fun. Undisputed Era is, for most of the members, the highlight of their career. It's just a case that it's now over. Mm-hmm. I liked the video that was put out today by The Party. A little goodbye, because ultimately, while WWE are happy to have Tyler Breeze featured, or Prince Pretty featured on their Up Up Down Down network, they are not permitting Adam Cole to feature. Much like during the first season of Brand versus Brand warfare between Xavier Woods and Tyler Breeze, they had to delete any reference to Chris Jericho after Chris Jericho announced that he would be joining AEW. Not many people spotted that one.
They made a much bigger thing of it in seasons 2 and 3.
They did. They struggled a little bit when it came to future seasons because they had to make the choice, or they chose to make the choice to create wrestlers who they felt were being underutilized, and then they had to keep making new wrestlers because those wrestlers that they felt were being underutilized kept getting fired.
I mean, who would have thought that was a problem?
Yeah.
Let's take the underutilized guys whom we love, who are our friends, but let's take the people that the company doesn't think is, highly enough of to put them on TV and put them on our YouTube channel that the company owns. That, this is going to be a problem real fast.
I really like the way that they were using Zelina Vega a lot, and she got fired, so they changed her character to a different name, and then she came back and they just had no idea what to do with it. That was such a confusing moment for everyone involved. We are approaching halfway through NXT WarGames. There is no takeover in sight. We are currently dual streaming on both Twitch, where you can click follow if you would like, and YouTube, where you can click subscribe. Both are absolutely free, and both will get you free shows for Spoiler Warning, which is our Monday and Friday news show, and Raw and SmackDown watch parties. Not always with Ed, but of course Ed will be here for future NXT shows as well. That's become our tradition, and I wouldn't change it for the world. Ethan is here. Welcome, Ethan. Glad to see you, mate. We have Legado del Fantasma backstage with Mackenzie Mitchell, who is wearing probably the pinkest little suit I've ever seen in my life. That is bright.
Soon to be Mrs. Vic Joseph.
Oh, really? I did not. Oh, I did know that. I saw a picture. It fell out of my brain at some point.
Babe, and then he called her babe on NXT at one point, and everybody went, "We've never acknowledged that one on television."
NXT's real life. I don't know what you're talking about.
And then Tony D'Angelo, doing a promo, asked her about her engagement ring, and that if she bet with Tony D'Angelo on the triple threat match for the North American Championship, that he could take that 1 carat to a 3 carat. And Vic Joseph was none too happy when they went back to commentary.
See, I like stuff like that. I like that they just interact with it and play around with it a little bit. It feels a bit more real. Even back when The Miz got slapped by Renee Young just for mentioning Dean Ambrose. It's fair. It's fair. He should have been slapped. Okay, so Duke Hudson plays poker. That's his whole character.
He does. He does. He plays poker. He seems to play poor poker, but he's a poker player. He has his own poker room at NXT.
By poor poker, do you mean that he plays poker badly or that he is poor?
That he plays poker badly.
Okay. So naturally he's paired up with the guy who's now rich.
Yes. Trying to steal his money, and the guy doesn't even as he just says in this thing, I didn't even know I could fold as they do a poker showdown in the ring. Which is always interesting.
I'm sorry, did they just say win rate 100%? That's not how poker works.
Winning percentage. So basically, as long as both people stayed in that hand, there was no way Duke could have lost the hand.
Yeah,
so
but
he had a 100% chance of winning.
That's still not how poker works.
It actually is. Televised poker, that's how they would broadcast.
They actually have 100%.
If there's no card that you can draw that so essentially all those percentages are as long as people both stay in the hand, there's no card that he could get that was going to win him the hand.
Okay, because
at that point, as long as Duke didn't fold, which Duke inevitably does fold there, which is how he lost the hand. But if he hadn't folded, he won the hand because he had the winning hand.
Well, then don't get bluffed, but no, you're right. I've played quite a bit of poker. I actually quite enjoy it. I don't play it for money all that much. At some point we'll have to do a stream poker night. I don't know how that's going to play out, but it would be fun. I am feeling that Cameron Grimes is going to be bold at the end of this.
I do too. I love Cameron Grimes, and I hope he wins this match. However, that being said, I don't see him leaving with his hair in this match.
Ghost says, to be fair, Duke kind of helped him out. Cameron looks great. I don't argue with that. The short hair is suiting him. Hey, Conrad, how you doing, mate? Welcome in Everything Pro Wrestling.
Yes, and go check them out on their YouTube channel at Everything Pro Wrestling. They are fantastic. They do all kinds of wonderful content. And Conrad is a delightful man who has had Tom on multiple times. I believe, yes?
Yes. Are you plugging things better than me?
I'm just helping you plug things.
Taking over the channel and just doing all the work for me?
I've always told you that I'm going to take over the channel.
You have. You've been very transparent about that.
I'm like, I've been pretty transparent with I'm taking over the Tom Colohue Twitch channel.
You've not hidden that at all. And in fact, as we're literally watching hair versus hair, you've been transparent about that and shaving me.
Yes.
Which is terrifying in many, many ways. Just terrifying.
When you come to Boston for Survivor Series next year, we'll go ahead and take care of that. You can join the Baldy Bros.
I'm just like that.
I'm not bald right now, but...
I'm just like that. I am never going to Boston for Survivor Series next year.
Yes, Jay Quick, you are correct.
Astrid says, I like how short a hairstyle now, but he'll be bald in a few minutes. That's fair. He's going to be undoubtedly growing out a little bit, but I don't think Duke Hudson really has enough hair for it to feel like much of a difference has been made. I'm also getting a real Daniel Bryan feel about this guy. I think it's the beard. I just think it's a facial structure, as it were. Duke Hudson.
Oh, okay, yeah. Duke Hudson is, he is what he is. The hair versus hair match is kind of strange, considering other than Duke cutting a little bit of hair off Cameron Grimes, there's no real reason to cut Duke's hair.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like he's super attached to it, which is why I think Cameron Grimes gets his hair cut, because it's like, Duke gets his hair cut. Nobody really cares. No,
I don't think anyone would really care. I do like that they've used the two rings very nicely there. Setting up the chair in the second ring, just to constantly remind people. I do feel bad for anyone who sat in the line of sight between that chair.
Yeah.
So that the chair is basically just blocking them from there. He does look a lot better, Cameron Grimes.
Yeah, he looks fantastic with this.
Yeah, this suits him really well. He looks like he's lost about 10 years of his life. Anyway, to catch up. Conrad is taking Duke to get his head shaved. Sean said the question is just for Tom. Do you think Cameron Grimes would be successful in the main roster? I'm worried about the current character. I do feel the whole I am rich doesn't really work, especially when you currently have Happy Corbin. It is a block. He's been core blocked, basically. That said, if they're shaving his head, if there's some changes coming, it looks like someone might be taking his hair and his money, which certainly means a change coming up. What that change would be, that's a concern for me. At the moment, I'm going to say no, but I do think changes are coming, which will make it a little easier. Conrad says, thank you, gentlemen, and hashtag Team Bald, which immediately makes me want to stop putting you over, Conrad. So, yeah, keep going with that.
I got you, Conrad. Don't you worry.
Astrid said, Ed is very good at plugging content. Good. I keep telling you to plug Love Wrestling more. I keep having to encourage you to do it.
I'm on your channels. It's not my job to plug my stuff on your stuff.
But it is, though.
I know.
That's literally how it works.
We just passed 1,000 subscribers on YouTube last week. So we are very excited for that as we march towards YouTube goals over there. So hopefully we can follow suit over here on Tom's YouTube channel. But yes, every Tuesday night, me, Astrid, and when he's not on assignment, our good friend Cody will be hosting NXT, which follows Power Out. Power Out is our show that catalogs the NWA's NWA Power, which is absolutely a fantastic product if you like studio wrestling. They just had Matt Cardona show up to ruin after the main event last night with Trevor Murdoch. Yes, Trevor Murdoch, the 10 pounds of gold world champion in the NWA. Also, Pope D'Angelo De Niro is over there as in the NWA. Damian Sandow is there as well. There are a lot of familiar faces. So if you like WWE in the 2004 to 2018 range, you check out the NWA, you see a lot of familiar faces.
Megan says, I'm just going to say this. If anyone comes near me with clippers, prepare to lose your hands. Fair. And I would be definitely saying that exact same thing to Ed.
It's fine, Tom.
Is it, though?
There's plenty of alcohol in Boston.
Okay, that helps, but I still don't want it. Jacob says, Duke Hudson is Daniel Bryan 2.0. See what I did there? I did, mate. I did. Well done. Well done, you. And Conrad just says, to the moon.
To the moon.
Oh, that was a beautiful moonsault.
Cameron Grimes has all the talent to be successful on the main roster. And the other thing, like, I agree with everything you said about Cameron Grimes not being successful on the main roster, except one thing.
What's that?
What's the one thing that always gets to Vince that he really enjoys when people can do?
Embarrass
people who
themselves.
Can make him laugh. Well, that and making him laugh.
Same thing, really.
Because look at R-Truth. R-Truth has been around for the better part of the last 20 years in this company because he's able to make Vince laugh. And Vince loves R-Truth to the end of the earth. If Vince is looking for a new R-Truth, Cameron Grimes might not be a bad substitute.
The issue you've got with that is that Vince will never look for a new R-Truth because he's got the current R-Truth for at least the next 40 years.
This is true. That man does not age.
He does not age.
It's hard to believe he's 50 years old.
I do not believe it. Like, I genuinely don't. I think he's like 27. An impressive showing so far from Cameron Grimes, though.
Yeah.
He's played the heel more often than not when I've been watching, so he hasn't really shown off his range of... Well, just his range, basically. And you know me, I like range in a wrestler. When you're a face, you can get away with more of this stuff. Like Carmella, when she's a face, will always do suicide dives. When she's a heel, she doesn't. And it stands out.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's 49. He will be 50. I've been corrected by the stat queen. He'll be 50 within a little over next month.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
He's a delight, man. Like, R-Truth is absolutely fantastic and has been there for seemingly ever.
He lives there. He will probably die there, much like Vince McMahon, who will eventually just die in the chair. That's how it goes. I can genuinely imagine that at some point, let's say Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns are wrestling a match. They come back to Gorilla and it's like, okay, Vince, what did you think? Vince. All right, well, this was always going to happen.
Yep. And it will be, moving on. They'll have everybody around Vince being like, oh no, what do we do? What do we do? And you'll have like 4 people in the room going, all right, we've planned for this. All right, get the 5 other people that we need because we need the people who are doing the jobs that they normally do to go ahead and take care of dealing with Vince and Stephanie and Triple H and all the people who are obviously upset that Vince is now
The thing is,
done what Vince is.
this is Vince McMahon. This is why they invented chairs with wheels. Just put a blanket over him and just roll him to the side. That's what they'll do. We know that's what they'll do.
Is he a bird?
That's what he'll want. That's what he'll want. Okay, I'm not going to go too deep into this because it comes across really, really creepy eventually. But that's what he'll want. Astrid says it feels like he looked older before and now he looks younger. I agree on that. Back when he was K-Quick and getting rowdy, he looked older than he does now. Jadeb says Cameron Grimes is a guy I did not like when he first showed up. Drove me crazy. Then he got into this gimmick of someone who fell ass backward into money and did the program with DiBiase and LA Knight. He is great. Really like him now. It does come across very similar when you break it down like that to Baron Corbin, though.
Mm-hmm.
And not in a way that's derivative of Baron Corbin. It's clear that Cameron Grimes did it first. Ghost says that R-Truth is a vampire. Can't argue with that. Absolutely can't argue. And Wolfgamer, as regards Vince McMahon, says the show must go on. Meanwhile, I'm sat here waiting for that viewer number to just flatline. We'll see how that goes.
It's not going to happen.
Megan says Truth has had 2 runs with WWE. He initially competed for WWF between 1999 and 2002 as K-Quick. I do remember his tag team with Road Dogg. He was released after the invasion but re-signed in 2008 as R-Truth and was actually pushed pretty heavy out of the gate. I do remember all the work that he did with The Miz quite early on after all.
John Cena, he had the world title match with Little Jimmy.
I believe that was 2011?
Yeah, Capital Punishment.
Yeah.
I know it was Capital Punishment. I don't remember the year.
I believe it was 2011 because it was R-Truth the month before it was Money in the Bank 2011 with CM Punk.
Okay. That makes sense.
That's what I recall.
But I mean, R-Truth got over the fact that he had a little child next to him that wasn't there.
Basically,
And
R-Truth got over mental
stuff.
illness.
He did.
Yeah.
And people loved him.
Except people with actual mental illness. Yeah.
No, they didn't understand what was going on and loved him too.
Sure. Jadeb says, was R-Truth not the TNA champ for a while? Ghost says something quite similar. It's kind of hard to think the Truth was once a world champion. He was, apparently, a TNA champion. I'm just going with what Jadeb's saying here because I didn't really watch TNA at the time. Ed?
Yeah, he was the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion for at least once, if not twice. We talked while we were bigging up the fact that Impact is the company that will never die.
Yeah.
We were talking about how the early days it'd be hard to convince people nowadays to be like, hey, you know that guy R-Truth that runs around the ring chasing 24/7 championship? There was once a wrestling company early on that he would come to the ring and he would be their NWA World's Champion. And when he would come to the ring, there would be stripper cages on the sides of the ring that would have strippers in them. And that they would have, little people backstage with guns and shit like that. Yeah. Welcome to the world of old school TNA Impact pay-per-views when they were $10 a week and you would pay to watch these shows.
And they had AJ Styles as well through all of this. They had AJ Styles. Megan says
Jeff Jarrett.
And Jeff Jarrett, of course. Megan says Capital Punishment was June 19th, 2011. I finally got a piece of wrestling trivia right and you didn't. I'm going to take that win all the way to the bank. You're a literal quiz winner. Megan also says he was the first African-American champion for both TNA and NWA. And Jadeb adds in, when I mentioned AJ Styles, Samoa Joe also at that time. They had so much talent. And it was R-Truth they went with.
Like, I remember Samoa Joe came later and AJ Styles was still very, very young.
At that time, yes, he was.
I was going to say, we think of AJ Styles now and look back and go, well, how wasn't he their world champion at the time? Because AJ Styles was still in his mid-20s.
I believe he was 19 when he debuted in WCW in 2001 as Air Styles, so yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's like, And by the way, after that, he was signed to a developmental contract that he refused.
Yes.
So we have to remember that.
We do. He wasn't automatically picked up by TNA, but he made TNA. He put it on his back and he carried it with everything else going on with Nash and Hogan, with Kurt Angle, with Samoa Joe. No matter what was happening, AJ Styles was the guy.
For a long time, yeah.
Yeah.
But that company is the company that will not die. I mean, they had one of their biggest pay-per-views of the year, and reports were saying that they were going to have to cancel the pay-per-view on the day of the show.
Yes.
Because they couldn't fund the show.
Yep.
Oh.
And yet they keep going. Toxic Predator says, hi Tom. Welcome, Toxic Predator. Great to see you, mate.
I'm not doing well on my predictions for this show. I am 1 for 3.
Well, neither am I.
Cameron Grimes has defeated Duke Hudson.
I'm very much a 1 for 3 myself.
I'm happy to see this, though. This is one where I'm happy to be wrong.
Right, so Duke Hudson's going to go bald. I don't think that's going to be a real issue for him. After this, I believe it's Cruiserweight Championship match and then the men's WarGames. We've only got an hour left, so that WarGames might not be the longest match.
Yeah, we got an hour and a half left, yeah.
We've got an hour and a half because in WWE Network it shows only an hour.
Oh, really? On the Peacock, it said that it was going to start at 7:30 and go 3.5 hours.
On WWE Network, it shows that it was starting at 1 a.m. UK time, finishing at 3:30. I'd imagine there'll be a bit of an overrun. Would make sense.
Uh-oh. Duke Hudson has got the better of Cameron Grimes.
See, ultimately, the thing is, even if you win the match, that doesn't necessarily mean you're shaving the guy. Not necessarily, anyway.
Yes, Roderick Strong is under 205 pounds, Jada. Sorry, I have the Twitch chat open.
No, that's fine. I can see it right there. That matches up perfectly for me.
Oh, here we go. Cameron Grimes has got the better of Duke Hudson again.
Megan says the women's WarGames was 31 minutes and 22 seconds. In the end, not very long at all.
Yeah, because I was just saying, at that point, you really just got to look at it and go, that's what, 6 minutes? Because you have 6 people that have to enter in 5-minute intervals, I believe.
Yes.
So
the first one is 5 minutes. Then after that, I believe it's 3.
Okay, so they get a little shorter.
Yeah.
So maybe 15 minutes total for the match time once everybody was in the ring.
Yeah. Oh, it is Duke Hudson who's losing hair. Always go right down the middle.
Not all of it, though, unfortunately.
I always like that you get what commentary just say, he looks ridiculous. Does he? Does he?
Does he? Does he?
Megan has clarified. Strong is at 200 pounds. Gacy is 245, but the weight limit has been waived for this match. The Cruiserweight division is dead. It's dead. Their championship might stick around, but the Cruiserweight division is dead and buried. 205 Live is gonna have to be renamed.
Yeah. I mean, they've had women competing on 205 Live for a while now. They've had Odyssey Jones competing on 205 Live for a while now, and Odyssey Jones is a wonderful person whom I am very interested to see what his future holds, but he is certainly not under 205 pounds.
Yeah.
Oh, they finally have a new WWE credit card commercial. This is better than Booker T because it's got Charlotte Flair.
I have seen this one.
Oh, okay. This is the first time I'm catching this one, so I'm like, oh, this is new. I like this.
I think it may be one that's been shown on the network during Survivor Series, but everyone on Peacock had to have a subscribe to their Prime section or whatever. Jada,
also, for anybody who notices that I'm pulling something up, I have a heated blanket because it's New England and it's chilly.
Oh,
so I like to keep my legs warm.
Jadeb says they waive the condition, but what do they do if Gacy wins? Waive the condition forever?
Joe Gacy has the intentions on renaming the division and redoing the division. He's all about inclusivity and everything being inclusive. His whole character is on this millennial snowflake type of gimmick where it's the ring is a safe space. I'm all about making everybody comfortable and bringing people together and things like that. So, Joe Gacy is intending on, as he said to Roderick Strong during the build to this match, the Cruiserweight division is a body shaming division and a weight shaming division, which I plan to change. So I think this is their way of putting Joe Gacy at the top of this. They can go ahead and get rid of the 205-pound weight limit and make it so that Joe Gacy gets to enjoy himself, and you can really open up that cruiserweight division, whatever title it might be, to people like Odyssey Jones or anybody else who they want to bring in, who they want to push.
Certainly I can see the benefit to a championship like that, just basically an open house championship. We are getting a grizzled young vets vignette, so yeah, this, I don't like what they're doing with James Drake.
Yeah.
He's just dumb. Like, he's just dumb. That's the gimmick now. He's dumb. As you were.
I was going to say, the wonderful thing is that with this, you have the ability to really do what you want with the division. Like I said earlier, Joe Gacy has brought up the idea of having intergender wrestling in WWE, which I think is really interesting, and I kind of hope they do it, just because I want to see how Triple H would handle something like that.
Yeah. Sean says the cruiserweight division has been dead since Cedric and Murphy left. I think it lasted a little while longer, but I think it's firmly done at this point. Jada was asking, what do they do on 205 Live now? Basically a bit of everything. It's become the overflow for NXT, so anything they can't fit on NXT ends up on 205. Megan is saying Odyssey Jones is billed at 405 pounds, so we got two numbers right at least. J-Dub says the cruiserweight title should become the NXT 2.0's version of the 24/7 title. I don't like that idea. That's all I'm going to say. I don't like that idea. I don't think even the 24/7 title should be the 24/7 title. It outlived its usefulness within about 2 weeks and then kept going. I am finding it really interesting that what we're seeing during WarGames is just a lot of wrestler vignettes, like a lot of wrestler vignettes. Just had Draco Anthony have his vignette. We're being introduced to a lot of wrestlers. It seems as though that's the mission. Now that they think, oh, people are definitely going to be watching WarGames, let's introduce them to everyone again and again, as many times as need be.
Oh, interesting. We just got a promo for New Year's Evil, which will be taking place on January 4th, right after Day 1 and Monday Night Raw.
Interesting. Well, if it's any good, we'll have to do a show on it.
It's a Tuesday night. I'm not sure you want to do that on a work night.
I probably don't. No, that's true. But it depends when I go back to work.
This is true.
If I've had like 2 weeks off beforehand, I'm enjoy it.
There you go.
Megan says, just had a look on Wikipedia. The WWE roster page doesn't even include 205 Live anymore. 205 is dead. Absolutely dead. Mm-hmm. Sean has asked you a question there, Ed, saying, speaking of New England, did the Patriots win their game today, Ed?
They did not play today. They played tomorrow night against Buffalo on Monday Night Football.
Oh, you get all the fancy ones.
It's
been Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football. We will win tomorrow night, though, so it's okay.
Well, as long as you have faith. Jada says, I'd like to say I will miss Beth Phoenix on commentary. Always enjoyed having her there. I also really enjoyed Renee Young commentary. I agree. I actually quite liked Renee Young on commentary. I do think, though, that with this in mind, I do think that Beth Phoenix was a little more complete and well-rounded overall as a commentator. I enjoyed her work in NXT. I also really enjoyed her work with Renee Young when the two of them, as well as Michael Cole and Corey Graves, worked the Royal Rumble a few years ago. I just really enjoyed that. I think they did a great job. Even as a four-person desk, I really liked it.
Yeah, Beth has become synonymous with NXT. I mean, Index wouldn't have gotten over half as much as it did, I don't think, without Beth Phoenix on commentary. So I do wonder what happens from there. But her and Wade Barrett had a special chemistry on commentary with Vic Joseph in the middle. So I'm excited to see her hopefully in the ring in a little while as she, leaves NXT to go ahead and prepare for something like that hopefully at WrestleMania. But, spending time with her family, with Edge being back on the road again, makes a whole lot of sense. And, good for her that she's found something that she was good at, but good for her to go back home and just be a mom.
Yeah, it's ultimately it comes down to the same as anything else comes down to. Whatever makes her happy and whatever she enjoys the most is most important to her. We as fans definitely can't get in the way of that. We have no right to, and I think most of us don't have any interest in doing that either. So whatever makes her happy, I, as well as many people I'm sure in this chat and everywhere else, will be more than happy to support that because it's the right choice. It's the right thing to do. Support the woman as she goes into the next venture, the next adventure, the next big step forwards. And whatever that may be, I wish her the best of luck.
Agreed and wholeheartedly. We are now seeing Joe Gacy come to the ring with Harland, who is formerly known as Parker Boudreaux.
Yes.
Or as I called him, Mini Brock.
I mean, it's fitting. Although they've now shaved his head and he's a bit more Batista.
Yep.
I'm getting a Batista feel from him now.
I agree, but he's definitely a Mini Brock, a Mini Batista. He's got that same build and that same fantastic idea and look. I'm very excited to see what happens when he gets in the ring.
Yeah. Has he not stepped in the ring officially yet?
No, he's not even been named a wrestler at this point. He's just a guy who shows up for Joe Gacy.
Jada believes that Joe Gacy is a Kevin Owens 2.0. I think the characters are completely different on that one, J-Dub.
He looks a little like Kevin Owens. I think
that I can
see.
see.
I was going to say, he looks a little like Kevin Owens, but he's definitely, in the ring, he works a little bit like him, but their characters are completely different. I don't think I'd want to see Kevin Owens trying to be a snowflake, kind of, protecting everybody and protecting the world, and the ring is a safe space. J-Dub corrects and says, looks only, he could play his little brother.
Is Diamond Mine basically just anyone they want on TV but don't have a story for?
Diamond Mine is essentially a group of people that are being trained by Hachiman. Hachiman is the wonderful, wonderful man in the corner closest to the ring post.
Yes.
The two gentlemen there are the Creed brothers. They are a tag team that is in the tag team division, and they are doing fantastic. They are amateur wrestlers who are learning the craft. And Ivy Nile has been brought in recently. She is there now. They're female, and she was from the Titan Games of the Rock's fame. She won the Titan Games.
Right.
And she carries around a nice big thick chain around her neck. Which
I'd imagine she looks forward to using at every opportunity.
She's punched Rashida a couple times just by, running and punching him.
Nice.
She's got a lot of power back there.
Wolfgamer says, I gotta say, this gimmick for Gacy I didn't see coming. I thought they would have gone more psychotic horror since he posted a lot of horror things on his Twitter a while back. It's certainly a character that's going to resonate. This is going straight to the main roster. There's my big prediction. Joe Gacy is going to the main roster fast. Because this is a gimmick that Vince is really going to get behind. Vince is, of course, a big Republican, does not like snowflakes, as it were.
I could see Vince and co. really having some fun with this, as long as they let Gacy kind of keep his hands on it to keep it in the direction that NXT's been taking it.
Yeah.
It could very much be fun.
It would be very easy to go too far with this.
The other thing about it is Joe Gacy, if anybody's watched, a lot of the stuff, Joe Gacy was once in a tag team with Eddie Kingston.
Oh.
Where their young boy was Kobe Carino.
Oh.
So, talking about AEW, NWA, and WWE, we have that little thing of the unwanted. So, yes, yeah. They were the Evolve Tag Team Champions heading into the Evolve, I want to say 20th special that they had on the network. That should still be on there. But yes, there's a great promo package going into it that they have Joe Gacy and Eddie Kingston on there, and I'm like, that's pretty good on the microphone.
I always love little bits of trivia like that. I can see Gacy and Kingston actually having a really good look together.
Oh, it's fantastic. And to think they were both in essentially WWE's developmental, if you talk about Evolve. And somehow Eddie Kingston managed to decide not to come and do his own thing and stay on the indies. Whereas Joe Gacy, when Evolve finally got bought by WWE fully, decided I'm going to go ahead and take that and run with it.
It's interesting seeing the range of people who've been in the WWE developmental and decided to just leave it. There is quite a few people. I don't necessarily think that the people who have chosen not to would automatically have been given chances. You look at Kenny Omega getting his tryouts. I don't think they would have used him much, if at all. You look at Juice Robinson. Certainly his character, his gimmick didn't quite work. But then you look at the characters that we're getting on 2.0, and I think they're very similar to those characters that we were getting in the age of Juice Robinson when he was, oh god, I can't remember. The Eco Warrior. Nope, it's gone.
I'm gonna see if I can beat Megan to it. I don't think I'm gonna be able to.
No, we have a slight delay when it comes to the latency.
Oh, so I can beat her. That's fine.
No, I mean we have a slight delay, as in she's gonna be all over that. I wish you the best of luck.
In all my future endeavors, CJ Parker.
I knew it was Parker, but I thought it can't be Parker because I'm just thinking Parker Boudreaux.
I was thinking CJ Parker because that's the name of Pamela Anderson's character from Baywatch.
I did not know that. The only Baywatch I've ever watched is the movie with The Rock and Zac Efron.
I mean, it's about the same.
Oh, good. Oh, good. As long as they kept the right feel for it. Because that was just a wonderfully ridiculous film.
I mean, because Baywatch, if we want to tie this back into wrestling, which we definitely should, and
ideally we should.
The Rock, Shawn Michaels was once on an episode of Baywatch. They definitely did WWE. I think it was either WWE or WCW guys. No, it was WCW guys on Baywatch, and it was WWF guys on Silk Stockings. I think it was.
I have no idea. I do remember WCW guys on Charmed. Scott Steiner just getting beat up. That was fun.
It's always fun to see Scott Steiner getting beat up.
I think
she cameoed at the end of the movie, Megan. I don't remember. I didn't watch the movie.
I watched the movie. I enjoyed it.
Did you see Pamela Anderson's cameo at the end?
Not that I recall, but let's be honest. I'm not going to pay the fullest of attention. It's Baywatch.
The Miz was on Supernatural.
It's not a film you're going to turn on and then actually just give it your undivided attention.
Also, speaking of things that The Rock has done, because The Rock can't, not be in everything, The Rock is now in Fortnite.
I'm sorry, what?
The Rock is in Fortnite.
I'm going to need context on that.
So a couple seasons ago in Fortnite, they introduced us to a character called The Foundation, who was a masked character who we didn't know, but people that voice kind of sounds like The Rock, and people blew it off because, Fortnite's big, but they're not, The Rock big.
Yeah.
And so they just had their event yesterday, where they had their end of chapter 2 event, and the Foundation returns, and she goes, "I saw you die," and he pulls up his mask, and it's an animated Rock, like the actual Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Nice.
And he did his voice cameo for that. So every song's in Fortnite now. Yes, the list of licensed characters is incredible, as they've just now added Spider-Man to that list.
Ooh.
So this season we get Spider-Man, we get the black symbiote Spider-Man, and we get the white symbiote suit Spider-Man.
Ooh. Wolf Gamer says, "Is it me or does the trainer for Diamond Mine look incredibly uninterested in everything that happens? I think he's just supposed to be a bit of a stoic character, which I personally don't have much issue with."
Yeah, Hachiman's not there to get excited. That's what the rest of Diamond Mine's there for. Hachiman's just there to give advice, kind of like an MMA cornerman. He's not there to get excited. He's not there to tell him he's doing a good job. He's there to tell him how to get better.
Now, bringing it back to what's actually important, what movies The Rock has been in. My family is very keen for me to actually sit down and watch Moana, but my family at the moment, my extended family, as many of you are aware of, there's been a couple of additions to the family recently, cannot sit still long enough to let me watch Moana. So I've begun to watch Moana 4 times over the past month and a half and never gotten further than actually meeting the Rock character. So that's great. That's great. Just thought I'd share that tidbit, because why the hell not?
Once you get done fully watching Moana, you need to watch Lip Sync Battle from Jimmy Fallon, The New Day versus Triple H.
I have already seen it without the context.
Okay. Because Triple H does, he wanted to do Metallica, and Stephanie told him that he needed to do the Rock song from Moana. and he does a fantastic job being The Rock in Moana.
Oh, as regards Fortnite, Megan says, when they announced Daryl and Michonne from The Walking Dead, I was so annoyed. I get annoyed at a lot of characters ending up in Fortnite, to be fair. I'm not sure. How are these characters actually in Fortnite? I thought Fortnite was
viable skins.
Oh, right, okay. I thought it was just a battle royal.
So it is.
I know it didn't
but
start that way.
No, so they have the Save the World, which is great and it's fun, and for me it's a free way to get V-Bucks. I paid $35 to get that about 2 or 3 years ago, and now it's just free V-Bucks because every week or two, if you log in, you get 150 V-Bucks.
Right.
So that's fantastic. So that's how it started. It was basically a missions-based one. You and a couple people go on a mission, and you kill endless rounds of zombies.
Harlan's getting involved.
Yes, he picked up Ivy Nile to stop her from getting involved because Ivy Nile doesn't care male, female. She's going to get involved.
Joe Gacy stopped him.
He did.
Yeah, as you were, though.
Yeah, so, and then Fortnite started their Battle Royale, and they realized they could sell skins, and so they started moving into the realm of, we can, make knockoff versions of all these skins. So they had, at one point, the Reaper. Oh, and there we go. And Diamond Mine wins. Roderick Strong is still your Cruiserweight champion. Sorry, I've just spoiled it for a bunch of you. I apologize.
That wasn't... If that's actually the move that finishes, that was not good. Because that was a dodgy finish. Harlan's not going to be happy with that. Megan says, not seen Moana, currently watching Shadow and Bone before The Witcher Season 2 drops. I've just finished rewatching The Witcher Season 1, ready for Season 2 to drop in 11 days. 11 days. My partner and I watched it together. We've now switched to Sex Education because that shit's funny. Megan says, Triple H doing that song is hilarious. Epic Games has a boatload of cash to buy the licensing with people buying the currency. That's true. A lot of people are spending on them V-Bucks.
Yep.
A lot of people.
You buy the V-Bucks, you get the stuff. They've had everybody. They had an entire Marvel season, which included about 15 Marvel characters. They've had Deadpool. They've had Jason Momoa's Aquaman. Like I said, they had Loki a little while ago as a monthly package one that you went ahead and bought the monthly package and you got Loki. Yes, Megan, they did have Thanos once. They had a mode where you could be Thanos.
Okay. I've never played it.
It's a fun little thing. Me and you will have to play it on stream at some point just to shoot the crap and have some fun on one of the gaming streams.
You can play with a team, can't you?
Yes.
So we could throw a little party together, see what we got. Sean is asking, will Harland and Hachiman ever have a match? Ed, what do you reckon?
Harland will absolutely have a match. Hachiman is unlikely. I don't think he's even signed as an actual in-ring talent. I think he's legitimately signed as a coach for the Performance Center. They just decided to put him on TV.
I'm very confused by what's on my TV screen right now.
I'm seeing a commercial, so I'm assuming it's something different than you.
There's just a lot of food being eaten.
Oh.
And very big slices of pizza.
Is it another Pizza Hut commercial?
No. It's a guy in a very fruity suit. As in, it's got a lot of fruit on the suit. Now he's literally shitting.
He's what?
Literally shitting.
Like pooping?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know what's going on with... Yes, as Megan says, it is definitely Ika Manjiro. I heard jacket and suit, and I go, okay, that's Ika Manjiro. I don't know what he's doing, though. He doesn't understand bathrooms very well because he once walked in on Kushida as Kushida was trying to use the urinal. And he decided to start talking to Kushida in the men's room. And then dumped all of Kushida's clothes onto the men's room floor. And you've been in a men's room and it's not something you do to somebody's nice clothes.
NXT is really not for me at times. That's all I'm saying.
They are a tag team now, Kushida and Ika Manjiro. They're a tag team called Jacket time.
My concern is that they characters basically break down into dumb or champions. That's basically the split, as it were, at times. Megan is asking when Baby Yoda was in Fortnite. Ed, you got
I was
the answer
just
on
typing a response to her. I was gonna
read it out, man.
just
Read it
respond
out.
in the chat. No, it's fine. So at the beginning of the Hunters season, a season or two ago, when they had Jonesy collecting the best hunters, that season started with him collecting the Mandalorian, and so of course, if he collects the Mandalorian, Baby Yoda comes with him. So Grogu was the level 100 back bling, so that you could float Baby Yoda behind you.
I mean, Fortnite's just made of money, really, isn't it?
Yes. They basically just go, we'll spend money on characters that people like, and they'll pay us money to get it. They just had the Ghostbusters.
Of course they did. We have a backstage promo with Kyle O'Reilly.
Oh. Yeah.
He definitely sounds like he's staying a little longer.
Yep. They're going to have a match on Tuesday. No, when I think of a cage, I do not think of War Games, but that's okay. I'll go with you, Vic Joseph.
Megan says I might need to look up the Demogorgon from Fortnite.
They've had that in there
They've
as
had
well.
that. Oof.
Yep, they had a crossover at one point in one of the seasons where they mixed up with the Stranger Things thing, so you could go through the little sideways things and end up somewhere else. They had the Demogorgon skin in there.
I was going to say I would have been very confused, Megan, if you said to me that you'd never watched Stranger Things. That just seems like everything you would enjoy. Oh, Megan's also seen it in Dead by Daylight. They have the Demogorgon now? Nice. Okay, we have our main event incoming. 1.0 versus 2.0.
Or as they call it, it is 2.0 versus Black and Gold.
Are they going black and gold?
They've gone Black and Gold.
To be fair, NXT 2.0's whole aesthetic is just colour, colour, colour.
Yeah.
And it's not going nowhere. Megan, what the hell? I highly
That's a
recommend it.
surprise.
I think you're going to have a great time. Like, I genuinely think you will love every second of it. Astrid says more like 1.5. I mean, that's fair. This is not the original... Well, they are not the original NXT. The original NXT was Titus O'Neil falling over with a barrel. Nobody wants that. Nobody
Daniel
wants
Bryan, Wade Barrett. Wade Barrett is original NXT.
that. Wade Barrett has the pedigree. He's the one there.
He should have been the fourth man. Instead of LA Knight, it should have been Wade Barrett making his in-ring return to defend NXT.
I would have enjoyed
The
it.
game show version.
It would have been perfect.
With Fandango and EC3. Oh, wait, no, can't do that.
Can't do that, no. Titus?
Daniel Bryan, oh, wait,
No.
can't do that.
Ryback? No.
No. Let's see.
Oh, what's his name? Husky
Darren
Harris?
Young?
No.
No, can't do Husky Harris, can't do Darren Young.
Can't do McGillicuddy.
No McGillicuddy. You could get Oksana. No, she's gone too.
Hmm.
Vicky Guerrero. No.
No. Basically, no.
Yeah.
No.
There's a lot of no's in there.
Lot of
Daniel
no's
Bryan.
in there.
No.
You said Daniel Bryan like 4 times, mate.
Well, you're gonna have to keep saying Daniel Bryan. He popped up a lot in NXT.
He did. Megan says, I've now been reminded that Master Chief and Kratos are in Fortnite now. I'm mad again. I'm going to stop looking at this list now. Megan, you do this to yourself.
You really should stop.
You do
should
this to
really
yourself.
stop.
But you can always jump on a team and stream with Ed at some point. You guys can always Fortnite party.
Wolf Gamer joining us. AJ Lee, wait.
Also fair. Was that also the season? Did that season feature Baron Saxon? Because I remember him being in that quite early.
Yes.
Yeah.
And his terrible finisher.
Well, they still have that.
The Saxonator.
The what?
The Saxonator. I'm almost certain that's what it's called.
Wow. Otunga?
He's still at the company.
He's still at the
sort
company.
of.
Okay. We could get a War Games team here. I get you, Megan. I played a lot of Halo in my time. I used to just regularly play Halo on the hardest possible difficulty with a load of skulls on and just see how far we went with a couple of friends. Halo was my thing. Destiny I picked up for a while. I've been tempted to stream some Destiny, I'll say that.
Destiny is fun.
I enjoy the game. But
I didn't play it for long, but I heard it when I did play it, I kind of enjoyed it. It was alright.
I never had enough people that I knew playing it to do any of the really big stuff. But they finally started creating some decent free person stuff that I quite enjoyed.
I just looked up the Byron Saxton Wikipedia, and it talks about his time in NXT.
Yeah.
Lucky Cannon.
I need context on what Lucky Cannon is because he just keeps saying it.
Yeah, it was somebody who was in NXT.
Oh.
So we think their random name generator was bad now with Braun Breaker.
Yeah, that's pretty bad, but not that bad. Megan says Byron Saxton was season 4. His pro mentors were Chris Masters, Vicky Guerrero, and Dolph Ziggler.
Yes.
Interesting mentors. Dolph Ziggler definitely. Chris Masters maybe. Vicky Guerrero.
This is at the height of her heat too, though. Still, remember that.
Oh, of course,
This is the height of excuse me.
I remember that fondly, and by fondly I mean I hated every second of it, which is good. I definitely think they're going to go a little bit longer than has been announced on the WWE Network.
Yeah, I don't think they're going under 30 minutes.
Ghost says, okay, so it seems like everyone's wearing war paint. Why the hell not? I mean, it's war games. We are at war.
Ooh, Hayes is starting in the ring. I like that.
You are at this point considerably ahead of me.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry.
Don't worry. I'm going to do a quick refresh just to try and kick that into gear. Once I work out where my cursor is. There it is. I've got a lot of screens, all right? I have to move the cursor over there, but I watch it over here. There's a lot happening.
Oh, trust me, I understand. When I do the stream, sometimes it's the same thing.
It's one of those things. If you don't stream, you don't completely understand.
And the best is when I'm trying to moderate for you while I'm doing my work at night.
Yeah.
So there'll be times where I'll have your stuff all on one screen, and I'll have my work stuff over the top of it. And then all of a sudden I'll pull it down and realize I have to moderate and do something, and I have to go from screen to screen. And then I'll randomly type you things like I've typed you numbers because I'm trying to enter things into a sheet on my paperwork. I'll just randomly type stream numbers into Tom's stream, and he's like, "You don't know what I was typing numbers for?"
Just roll with it. Sean says there have been a total of 11 NXT North American champions, only 5 remain in the company. Johnny, not for long. Roderick, Carmelo, Damien, and Ricochet. A couple more that I want to say not for long on there. Wolfgamer says, oh, Justin Gabriel. Wait, shit. Yep.
He's back on the open market again now that Ring of Honor has released all their talent.
He's also very good. Like, he's very good.
He is.
I don't know. Noob is here saying, hello, Tom and Ed. How are you doing? Doing very good, Noob.
Hello, Noob.
This show has been very good so far, which is always a positive. Honestly, as long as I'm watching good wrestling, I'm in a pretty happy space.
Yeah. We did have the in their long list of, just in case we don't get to do these things ever again, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano today did another glorious domination little video thing, and they had Pete Dunne in the background, and he just shook his head and walked away, and then LA Knight walked through and went, "Yeah!" walked away. So that was always fun.
Yeah. That Matt says, good to hear the show is good, we'll watch later. Great to see you, Matt. Hope you enjoy it. Ghost says, for this match, I'm probably paying the most attention to Carmelo, Bron, and Johnny. Prediction is 2.0 wins. I'd like to say I agree that 2.0 wins. I do think 2.0 will win. However, I also don't have a great record so far tonight. I have 1 in 4. And I believe, Ed, you're with me on that one.
Yes, because I did not think Roderick Strong was winning and retaining.
Megan says, looking at the winners of NXT. Sorry, let me clarify. Winners of NXT. Wade Barrett, Caval, now low key, Caitlyn, Johnny Curtis / Fandango, and technically Derek Bateman / EC3, Darren Young, now Fred Rosser, and Titus O'Neil could be considered winners. Which leaves us with, still 2.
I'd say 2. Barrett, fine. and Titus, fine. Everybody else, eh.
Everyone else, not so much. Wolfgamer says, for some reason I couldn't remember his WWE name, but I remember PJ Black for whatever reason.
Yeah. Sorry, I need a minute.
No, you're fine. And Noob says, did you see Io Shirai helped Cora Jade? That's something a Joshi wrestler. I don't understand why you're particularly referencing a Joshi wrestler there, Noob. Don't understand. Just going to leave that there. And Megan says, if you want bad, take a look at the number of NXT Tag Team Champions no longer with the company, not including, for obvious reasons, Brody Lee. Fairly obvious reasons there.
Johnny's coming out to Rebel Heart. Needed a minute there.
I understand. This is a goodbye.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you weren't sure, he's coming out to Rebel Heart. It's a done deal. Tonight is his last match ever for the company.
Yep.
He ain't coming back.
He's not coming back. I suspect he may take the pin.
I'm almost guaranteed.
And I suspect if he wasn't booked to take the pin, he will have told everyone, no, I'm taking the pin.
Yeah. There's no way they left the meeting room today without Johnny Gargano being told that he's ending this match flat on his back. And I think it's either going to be Grayson Waller or it's going to be Braun Breaker pinning him.
I just saw Pete Dunne applauding him. That's a sign.
Yep.
J-Dub says, is Gargano AEW bound or main roster WWE bound or neither? I believe neither.
I believe neither. I think he's headed to Impact when he eventually decides to get back in the ring. I don't think you see him again until after Candice has the baby, to be perfectly honest with you.
I personally agree on that one. Though that is obviously very personal information, so what he chooses to do, entirely up to him, but I think it'll be a little while before we see him again.
And also complete speculation, too, I will point out on my part. Like, he may very well show up on Thursday night. He may very well show up on Wednesday night. Like, his contract, he signed an extension to get through tonight's show. No, Impact, there is no rumor or report that I've heard of him going to Impact. I just think he will do better in Impact because there are more dream matches for him to have there with less people in his way than if he were to go to someplace like AEW and being a logjam like Adam Cole is currently.
I think we'll see him float for a little while, particularly after his child is eventually born. I think we will see a repeat of, for example, Gargano versus Andrade. I think that will be in an AEW match. But I don't think he'll necessarily make AEW his home. I don't think AEW will let him do that with their current surplus of talent. I think eventually they're going to have to shut the doors. And I think there are a number of people that they maybe regret not having shut the doors on already. So that's something that I'm very, very focused on. Sean says, is it possible Gargano gets the win? I'm going to say no. Ghost says Ciampa also gave Johnny a salute. Sweet moment, and you can definitely tell Johnny is going to be a huge part of the match. Yeah, he's going to take a beating here, and there's good reason for it. And I think he's going to cry. Going to be honest, I think he's going to cry, and I probably would as well.
I'll probably cry too.
Yeah. I like that he's got Johnny TakeOver written on his arm.
I'm surprised I made it through Rebel Heart with just a little bit. I just got watery on Rebel Heart. I'm surprised.
Mate, let it go.
When I was talking about,
let it go.
When I was talking about it earlier, I thought it was going to be Waterworks. I was surprised it was only water.
Corey said Johnny Gargano got his snog back. I'm sure the snog's been going the entire time. He did indeed get Rebel Heart back, and we're all very hyped for that. J-Dub says, not taking anything away from Tony Nese, but I'm surprised he ended up in AEW. Always a fan, but figured he'd be Impact. I do kind of agree when you say that. There's a number of people who went to AEW that I was a little bit surprised, but it does seem like they may be filling out an undercard because, as I say, they are releasing quite a number of people at the moment who were there early. Yeah, I'm looking at people like Dustin Rhodes, Sean Spears.
I think Wardlow might be sooner rather than later too. They haven't capitalized on him like they thought they would. I mean, he was in a cage match with Cody Rhodes within 3 to 6 months when Cody was doing that program with MJF, and he's not been in a whole lot since. I mean, unless you would count big things being working with Jack Swagger, I mean, whatever his name is in AEW. I honestly don't remember.
Neither do I. It's something. He has a name. I just can't remember what it is.
Corey, we both have 2.0 in this match.
We do both have 2.0. It's difficult because there are quite a lot of people who came into AEW House of Fire. Sean Spears had that moment with Cody and then hasn't really done anything. Nick Cage.
Yeah, but Nick Gage was always a one and done. Like they never once said that they were signing him, like they did All Elite, like some of these other guys.
Yeah, fair. Jake Hager. Thank you, Megan. Jake Hager.
There we go.
Jada as well jumping in on that one. And there's a few more who came in a House of Fire. I don't think they've done that much with Lance Archer recently.
This is true.
And he's one I do expect WWE would be looking to pick up.
They've tried a couple times, if I remember correctly.
They have. Megan says, for anyone not wanting to look, if my count is right, 43 men have held tag team gold in NXT, and only 18 of them are still wrestling. Obviously, Graves and Jason Jordan are still working for the company, but they only counted active wrestlers. That's quite a number. That is quite a number. I think back to the big feuds that were like DIY versus AOP versus a Revival. By tonight, one of them will still be in WWE. One.
Yep. Daddy Ciampa.
Sean says, Sean Spears goes to Impact since that is where his wife is. No idea. I don't know for certain that he's gone yet. I just don't necessarily believe he will be staying at AEW because I know his contract is coming up.
I think if Sean Spears leaves AEW, he's probably going to pull a Tyler Breeze and just relax and enjoy working at Flatbacks full time.
Tyler Breeze is having a great time right now. But to be
Two
fair,
of them
he's
have
also
a wonderful wrestling school down there. Might as well just teach wrestling to these young talents.
But of course, Tyler Breeze isn't technically allowed to work with AEW if he wants to keep working with up, down, down. So the man basically has to pick a passion. It's awkward. Corey says, if Gargano goes to AEW, who do you think he will face first? Andrade. 5-star, innit? Would you like to jump in with a name there, Ed?
If Johnny Gargano goes to AEW, he is going to work with Sammy Guevara.
I'd like that. That'd be good.
I think that would be a fantastic match. I mean, don't get me wrong, Andrade is great, but give me somebody young and up and coming. Johnny Gargano versus
I'm feeling an MJF feud as well.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
But to be fair, anyone who comes in, you think, oh, he'll work with MJF, and you get excited.
Megan helping us answer J-Dub's question, and she is in fact perfectly correct.
Always brilliant.
There is definitely no compete because the extension was a week.
Ghost says, even though I only do this for Raw, SmackDown, and the main roster pay-per-views, NXT WarGames is trending number 1 in the US. Rebel Heart at 12, Cora Jade at 13 still, and Von Wagner at 21. Thank you very much, Ghost. I always appreciate those. Sean says Brian Cage is one that you see leaving. Yeah, pretty much. I think the bed has been made for him there, largely by himself. Megan says DIY the earliest pair of champions, both still there in NXT WWE. We'll see how long that lasts at this point. Jadeb says because of his extension, does he still have a no-compete? As Megan quite rightly points out, there is no no-compete when a contract expires. So essentially, if his contract has one more day and he is fired today, then his no-compete would be for 1 day. Because a no-compete cannot exceed the end of the contract. Jada is asking, is Big Show still doing commentary on one of the Darks? He does commentary on Dark Elevation. I believe he still is. I've never tuned into Dark Elevation. I don't think many other people do.
I was going to say, I've never watched a YouTube show for AEW, so
it confuses me.
They have a hard enough time getting me to watch their regular television product.
It confuses me when I see a 2-hour YouTube video and they advertise 15 matches. 15 matches, so that's what? 6 minutes per match?
If that.
Not including entrances. What's the point?
AEW Dark and Dark Elevation are ways for them to pad the stats of all the talent so they can continue using this ranking system to tell storylines, and they can have Jungle Boy be the first person in AEW to 50 wins. Jungle Boy. I
Why the
love
hell
Jungle
not?
Boy. I love Jungle Boy. Don't get me wrong. He's going to be their biggest star in about 5 years, at least from the initial group of people, because most of the bigger stars that were ahead of him will be gone, and MJF will be the only one left of that big group of stars, and him and Jungle Boy are going to be about the same level. I'm not dissing Jungle Boy. I'm just saying that if you have that company with that talent, and the first person you have to 50 wins is Jungle Boy, you earned a whole lot of wins on YouTube shows against guys who don't deserve being in the ring with Jungle Boy.
As a business model goes, the YouTube videos for Dark and Dark Elevation have been very beneficial. It's really helped them to build the following that they have, particularly on YouTube. It's really created some moments that they can use to advertise elsewhere. But even though YouTube is making the money, it's not making them enough money to pay for all the wrestlers they need to fill those cards. I don't think it's even making them enough to pay for Big Show. Or Paul White, I should say.
I'm wondering about how much that number changes once the video game finally comes out. They're spending a lot of money developing this video game. They have a loyal and rabid fan base. Once this video game comes out, does it put enough black back into the red? Because they better get a really, really good deal when these contracts expire in 2024. Because in 2024, that could be the end of AEW if those numbers aren't enough to bring them out of the red.
It's very true. Very true. This is, of course, one of the reasons they're spending so much right now. So that in future, they've hopefully built enough infrastructure. But then the ratings continue to slide at the moment because their retention rate is so low. You have to factor that in. Megan says the teams who were champions in NXT before DIY: British Ambition, no idea who they are, Wyatt Family, Neville and Graves, The Ascension, I'm guessing this is a different Ascension, Lucha Dragons, Blake and Murphy, Vaudevillains, Revival, and American Alpha.
And no, the Ascension was the regular Ascension. That was the
the main roster Ascension.
Yeah.
Oh.
The ones that were champions for 200 and some odd days in NXT. They ran the NXT tag division.
Then came up to the main roster and just nothing really happened. DIY spot. Pete Dunne just kicking. Oh, both of them just kicking. I like that. I like that. J-Dub says it helped with brand awareness, which is true. It definitely has. It's made them easier to find and more discoverable, to use the YouTube lingo. And Megan also says the first woman to get 50 wins in AEW was Hikaru Shida, which makes sense as a former champion. They made a nice little feud with her and Serena Deeb around it as well. And why not? If you got the opportunity to use that to make something bigger, use it and make something bigger. Absolutely do. Ghost says, oh wow, I just saw that Gargano's gear is made up of gears that he wore at different takeovers. Okay. Makes sense. Oh, well, there we go. We've lost someone. Bear with me just one moment, guys, while I fix this, because we seem to have lost Ed very briefly. I will be back in just one moment while I fix this. Apologies for that brief pause due to a few technical issues, everyone. We are back and we are still watching our main event for NXT WarGames with no mention whatsoever of TakeOver, because we don't really do that anymore. We don't mention a TakeOver. We don't say the T word. We don't press the T button. We don't take that risk. Welcome back, everyone, and welcome back, Ed, who had a bit of a technical issue there, didn't you, Ed?
Yeah, my internet decided to be like Tom's internet and just decided to crash in the middle of the show.
It happens sometimes. It genuinely does.
I lost my broadcast of the show. I lost Tom's Twitch channel. I lost the connection to Tom's call. My mom was watching the same pay-per-view in her bedroom so that I can stream out in the living room. Lost the connection to hers. So I had to do a lot of maneuvering around to get this back up and running.
Everything just broke a little bit, didn't it? So where were we? Ghost says, I just saw Gargano's gear is made up of gears that he wore at different takeovers. I think you may have missed me saying that one. Megan says, British Ambition was Neville / Park and Oliver Gray / Joel Redman. Not a name I'm particularly familiar with. Sean says, the Ascension reign as NXT Tag Team Champions is 364 days. Still the longest reigning to this day. Corey says, Cora Jade just called out Mandy Rose on Twitter and demanded a title shot. Not sure why she's calling out Mandy Rose other than the fact that she won the match.
Makes sense. She pinned somebody, so she deserves a title match.
Marcus is saying maybe Johnny re-signed because he's playing too much with the idea of this is my last night. He didn't.
Nope. Johnny Gargano is being allowed to fully and completely explain exactly what his feelings are. He is too loved by everyone backstage in this room to be told anything. They have said, I have no rumors and sources, but I can guarantee you, if Tom's heard from his rumors and sources, it will be, Johnny's been told whatever you want to do, whatever you want to say, you can do it all. You're fine.
Johnny hasn't necessarily been told that, but he is doing it anyway.
Makes sense.
Because ultimately, what are they going to do? Fire him? The ring is a lot more full than it has been. I think at this point, we are just waiting on Tommaso Ciampa.
And here he comes.
At which point we'll be heading towards a finish at a breakneck pace. Braun Breaker is at this point pretty dominant. His entrance certainly shifted the match comfortably in 2.0's direction. Ghost says, you are not the only one with tech difficulties. Braun had some technical difficulties of his own with a chain. Ooh, interesting. I wasn't able to watch because I was trying to get the connection back, but I was able to hear. So there's a lot that happened. Megan says, here comes Wrestling Kratos. Indeed. He's still got the paint over the eye. He represents. And no worries, Sean, that happens. Ciampa basically going after everyone at this point. J-Dub says, any idea what Ciampa's contract is like? Does he have a lot of time left? I believe he has quite a while left. His contract is not in sync with Gargano's due to injury. And in addition to that, I feel that Ciampa would probably stick around. The schedule for NXT suits him very well, and he's been very well treated by Triple H. I don't feel he would leave, but I've been proven wrong before.
I think the other thing to note about Tommaso Ciampa is in the post that he made today where he was talking to Johnny Gargano and he posted all those wonderful moments. He said, if this is the last time we share a ring together or I share a ring with you, it to me, it read very much that like, you're leaving. I don't really feel like leaving. I'm kind of at home here.
Yeah.
Because I think the difference is that Ciampa's in his own mind, I think, on borrowed time.
Yeah.
So he's like, I don't need to go anywhere else. I don't plan on going anywhere else. Whereas Johnny's like, I have years and years left at this. I'm going to go and do what I want to do. Oof.
A DIY chant out there.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
Gargano's just taken a serious beating so far. It was a while ago when I first heard that when we were talking about the draft and the call-ups, the Way would not be called up, Gargano would not be called up. Wasn't sure why at the time, but then I started hearing about how much Gargano and Ciampa had pissed off Vince. I think there is some very good reasoning from Johnny Gargano as to why he doesn't want to stick around.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel there were many more opportunities coming his way. The way wasn't supposed to be as popular as it was. I'm going to say that nice and blunt. It wasn't supposed to be to the level that it achieved. That was mostly done through pure personality.
It's amazing what happens when you put people together that are actually charismatic and love to have a good time. And magically, the crowd goes, yeah, we like it when you have a good time.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's funny how this wrestling business works with this charisma thing.
Yeah. Charismatic people doing charismatic things. Why are they getting over? What's going on? Megan says, yeah, he made a big thing of trying to get the chain cut, but couldn't do it, so they had to cut it away. Oh, that's funny. Bless him. He was supposed to have his big tough moment, and then it was like, okay, but now you just got to just use a clamp.
And by the way, because I know you don't watch NXT regularly.
Not regularly.
But you've probably seen it on Twitter. Johnny Gargano last week did call Braun Breaker the big bad booty nephew.
I did see that, yes.
And it tickled me way too much.
There's a reason you're the NXT expert. NXT kind of your thing, isn't it?
I love me some NXT. Always have, always will. No matter what good or bad things seem to be happening on the main roster, NXT always seems to be able to be immune from any of it. If WWE's bad, NXT always seems to just be good and doing wonderful things. And even here, you're having a story as old as time. New guard versus old guard. And it feels fantastic. And it feels vibrant. And it was built in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
This feels so big time and so massive. And this literally has been built off the back of a Grayson Waller promo, Gargano and Hayes already being in a program, and Tony D'Angelo just inserting himself.
Kind of the same for LA Knight, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, LA Knight was in a program with Grayson Waller before everything, but it seemed to have finished. And now you just have this wonderful old guard, new guard. It reminds me of the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. When it was
Nakamura one.
Yeah, when it was Roman, Nakamura, and Finn Balor on the other side of Cena, Rey Mysterio, and Randy Orton.
Yep.
Good times. J-Dub says Johnny and Dexter together was awesome. Megan adds into that one, saying Dexter saying farewell to his father-in-law by sliding out from under the ring to scare people. Even the change to 2.0 hasn't really gotten rid of that NXT vibe, has it?
No, it's the same old NXT. And you can hear things like this is not something you'd hear on the main roster, like this rabid crowd of this small group of people that just feels loud and feels into it.
Yeah.
Like once these matches get going and they get to those high points, it feels like NXT. It might be 2.0, it might be more colorful, but the crowd still gets you there.
Bailey says, has it been confirmed who is moving up, if any? To be blunt,
Nobody.
I don't think anybody is moving up. I think there's a couple of names that may be moved out, as it were. I think Raquel Gonzalez will probably feature in the Royal Rumble, but I think Royal Rumble will be appearances rather than debuts.
I think Io, the only person on this entire show that might be headed to the main roster, there's two, and it would be Io Shirai and Joe Gacy.
Joe Gacy's main roster bound soon, definitely. I don't think it'll be right now, as it were, but he's main roster bound soon. There's a few people. Matt Riddle was never supposed to be in NXT for long. He ended up staying a little bit longer than they wanted, but he was always main roster bound. Joe Gacy, I get that feel from him. Astrid says, main roster could never do building like this in 2 weeks. You're not wrong. You're really not. And Megan says, can you imagine them trying to put together a WarGames match on the main roster? They'd be building it around Roman.
Do it. The talent could do it. Like, we make fun of the people who are behind the scenes and do all the stuff that they do. Wasn't that an awesome throw?
That was such a good throw.
But no, I mean, the guys in the matches are the ones who put these together. They're told by WWE a start point, an order, and a finish. And they're like, everything else in between, go nuts.
You could definitely make it work if you had, for example, New Day and Bloodline in WarGames.
Mm-hmm.
That would be perfect. You could even mix it up and just do Roman, Seth, and Kevin Owens.
What about AJ, Randy, Owens and Seth versus Big E, Finn, Damian Priest, and Matt Riddle.
You got Randy and Matt Riddle on opposite sides there.
That's fine. They're going to be on opposite sides soon enough.
Fair. Ghost says, I think Von Wagner might be called up by Royal Rumble because of his appearance on SmackDown a few weeks ago. Maybe.
Hasn't been brought up since. I doubt it will happen.
It depends.
Will he be in the Royal Rumble? Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't think he's coming up full time.
I think it depends on Kyle O'Reilly in the next step. Because I was surprised by what happened earlier. I was surprised. So there's definitely going to be some program between them. I'd imagine Kyle O'Reilly goes out on his back. After all, Adam Cole did that for him. Megan says, that said, if you put, say, Bloodline and Sammy with New Day and Finn in WarGames, I wouldn't be mad at it. Yeah. Astrid says, to me, it's not the talent, it's the booking. I think it's also an element of the benefit of the doubt. No matter who you put in a WWE main roster WarGames, if you gave them 2 weeks, the WWE fan base wouldn't support it. They just wouldn't. The WWE main roster fan base tends to only support things after they've happened. In years to come, you'll see all those different Twitter accounts that are just pure nostalgia bait. Just constantly saying, oh, this was great. But very rarely is something popular at the time. I think a great example is Burn It Down. People hated that. When it was first added. About 3 or 4 weeks in, started chanting it every single time. That's the vibe that I get. That's just my opinion on it, but also it is fair to say that the booking really doesn't suit it. Megan says you could even take the Team Liv and Team Becky from this week's Raw and get a good WarGames match. Very true. Sean says the Horsewomen in WarGames. The Horsewomen are no more, mate, unfortunately. Yeah. Splintered. And can I just say, the one on the outside is not Charlotte, it's Becky.
Oh, this is fantastic.
I always love a bin tip. Or a trash can tip. Astrid loved it from the beginning.
Oh.
I know I've got good stuff coming. You've made that clear to me.
Jeff, Randy, Ray, and Bobby versus Corbin, Dom, Riddle, and Omos. I wouldn't want Omos in a match like this. I don't think it favors the big guy who can't do a lot.
Fair.
If it's War Games, you gotta have somebody agile.
Would you throw Brock into WarGames?
Yeah.
I would.
Brock can do the agile stuff. I mean, he tells you, I'm not going to, I'm more valuable than this. But Brock is fully capable of all of that. Look at young Brock. Like, young Brock did all the leapfrogs and the jumps,
the shooting
star press and all that fun stuff. He's capable of doing it all. He just learned real quickly, I don't have to anymore.
No. When he became a big deal, he just kept it that way. I would love to see Styles in WarGames. There's a lot of really good options.
This is our NXT, he shouts. Oh, such a good match. The false finishes are everywhere.
The camera angle screwed up on that elbow drop. Didn't even see it.
Oh, no?
I like that Pete Dunne actually grabbed his leg and then pulled him away. Rather than doing what they normally do and just sort of tapping them on the shoulder. Just like, have you seen me?
I touched you while you're pinning him, so no, it doesn't count.
Ghost says it's a bit hard to think of who would be the strong dude on the new school style. Corbin would be the calculated one, Riddle would be the wild card, Dom would be the high flyer. In replacement of Omos, they could have Otis or maybe Damien. Throw Brock in there. Go nuts.
Well, I can't put him on the new school side. That's the problem.
Oh, I wasn't going old school, new school. I was just going face heel.
Oh, okay.
If we're going old school, then Roman and Brock surely have to be on the same team. Doesn't quite work right now.
Oh, that would be great, though.
I know, right? If, for example, you had a team of Roman, Brock, Bobby Lashley, And Drew McIntyre. Hell of a team.
Yeah, J-Dub, I'm in the same boat as you. I remember when the King of the Ring was a big four and Saturday night's main event happened. Yeah, those are the days.
Sean would suggest a Shield in WarGames. I would take that. If you
The Shield? What you mean Seth and Roman?
Well, Seth Roman and Jason Jordan.
Oh, Jason Jordan, I forgot about that.
Maybe
Triple H?
Kurt Angle. Do
No,
you remember? I will never find that dull. Just seeing Kurt Angle be Shield dad just behind both of them, just going, yeah, I'm the Shield. Yeah. Having a great old time.
We get to see Pete Dunne's pearly whites.
Oof. I don't think I've ever seen them. Why are you keeping that? Why are you keeping that? I don't think I want to watch this. I don't think I want to watch this. I'm the guy who's still nervous watching that screwdriver go into Jeff Hardy's ear, so...
He wrapped the metal thing that he took, I can't think of the name, crowbar.
Okay.
Around Dunn's neck, and then did the swinging neck breaker off the top rope. Without Pete Dunne's mouth guard.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Ghost says that was just unsanitary. Megan says, I would say if you're going old school versus new school in the main roster, Kofi, Ray, Randy, and Brock versus Theory, Ford, Priest, and Ricochet. That's definitely a new school.
I would love to be in the room as you guys try to explain to Randy and Brock that they have to compete in WarGames.
They do not like to do that, no.
Randy's made it perfectly clear that he'll be in these Money in the Bank ladder matches, but he ain't falling off no ladders.
Nope.
So I'd love to be in the room as you explain to him that he has to be in this.
I think a women's one is really easy to put together. Horsewomen on one side, and the other side you have Bianca Belair, you have Liv Morgan, you have maybe Rhea Ripley and Nikki Cross.
Meet in the middle. Ooh.
Big DIY chance.
That was smart.
Oh, yeah, that was smart. I like that. Good camera work on that one as well, which is a rare thing, unfortunately. But he's kept it alive. Low blows illegal, that's fine. Bailey suggested 4 horsewomen versus Rhea, Bianca, Liv, and Shayna. All good options.
Oh!
I think we can be confident that the 4 horsewomen would be on one side, though.
You could. I wouldn't, but you could.
If we're going old school versus new school...
Well, if you're going old school versus new school...
Ooh. Then it kind of has to be the 4 horsewomen. They are the old school.
Yeah. Which is funny considering they're black and gold, like born and bred.
Yeah. Well, NXT's not the new up and coming brand anymore. They're just not.
All right. That's one way to do it.
Ciampa takes the pin.
Surprising. I would have put a lot of money on Gargano being the one
to be fair, he is the champion. Braun Breaker's the one who pinned him. They have the feud ongoing. Well, sort of ongoing.
Oh no, completely ongoing.
Yeah. So it works for me. I suspect we're just going to get another championship match for Braun Breaker and that'll be it.
Yeah, I think he wins the next one too.
I was feeling like he was going to win the last one, to be fair.
Yeah.
They are all in on this guy.
Might as well. You got the fans behind you too. With the exception of his name, you got the fans behind you. You might as well go for it.
I think having the bad name kind of helps because people feel a little bit sorry for him that he has to work in WWE with the name Braun Breaker.
Which he came out today saying was kind of his idea. He says he's on board with it.
How many times have we heard that? How many times have we heard that? Then afterwards people are like, I hated the mask. Today. Yeah, a Bearcat wasn't my idea.
Ooh, Ghost, I like that one.
That is a really good list.
That's a good list.
I would maybe swap someone out there, maybe Victoria, for China.
I mean,
we're going hypothetical.
We're going hypothetical. Okay. I'm like, we have a problem with that match.
There would be a slight problem with that, but if we're going hypothetical, we're going hypothetical.
If we're going hypothetical, I didn't realize that was hypothetical. Oh, he's talking about in their prime hypothetically. Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. I'd put that match on now, to be perfectly honest with you.
Most of them can still go, but not to the same degree.
No, but if you're putting them on in WarGames, do you need to?
Fair. Fair comment.
It's WarGames. You don't need to be able to go 90 minutes. You just need to be able to have Trish start the match and Lita finish it and hope that Victoria's in shape.
Sean says, I figured this out. If Cora was hurt, she was taken out of the match, it would have been a forfeit for her team. So Io helping her was smart. Yeah, that was the plan. But I think they will have just taken her out and just let that match continue. I think back to Imperium versus Undisputed Era, when Alexander Wolf picked up a pretty major injury and was just taken out of the match.
Yeah, no, you don't forfeit by getting taken out of the match. You can go 3-on-2. At one point, I think Rhea Ripley won 3-on-1.
It was 4-on-2.
4-on-2.
Yes.
I was gonna say they did a really good job of writing everybody off in that match, besides Rhea and
I believe it was Candice.
Candice LeRae.
Dakota Kai had attacked Tegan Nox, and they were supposed to be able to. However, NXT has now finished. I believe, Ed, you have somewhere to be.
I do. We are getting ready to set up our post show over at Love Wrestling. That'll be twitch.tv/LoveWrestlingCA.
If you want to drop a link in the chat as well, Ed.
That will be fine. I can do that.
People can head over there and click follow if they haven't.
They should indeed. Twitch.tv/
Megan says, this is totally unrelated to this, but I want to share because I'm happy. Kevin, I think you say Feige?
Feige, yes.
Feige has confirmed that if when Daredevil comes to the MCU, will be Charlie Cox playing him. And Ghost says, I was close to putting in China, but she's basically too damn strong in her prime. It would kind of be better if it was the Gatekeepers or the Ruthless Aggression era. You say that, but then put her in a ring against Charlotte Flair. That's all I'm saying. Right, we will wrap up there. A huge thank you to everyone who's joined us, both on Twitch and on YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow for Spoiler Warning. Thank you to Ed for joining me today. And thank you to everyone else who has jumped in and said hi. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.